Chapter 102. Ning Cheng's first thought was to quickly sit down and cultivate, but he immediately remembered that his life was now in danger. This place was so cold, moreover the old woman who was controlling the fiery red shield had already left. Even if he returned to the half-moon ship, it would still be somewhat difficult. The red color of the fiery red shield had already faded, apparently because the old woman had lost control of it. This shield would not last for long. Ning Cheng looked back at the half-moon ship. He calculated the distance. Before the fiery red shield completely lost its effect, he should be barely able to return to the half-moon ship. It could be seen that the old woman had already calculated it, and did not deliberately harm him. However, Ning Cheng was actually cursing in his heart. This old woman only cared about her own treasure. She simply did not care about his safety. She was a typical person who would burn the bridge after crossing the river. Just when Ning Cheng wanted to speed up the speed of controlling the shield to enter the half-moon ship, he suddenly felt a strong call. Ning Cheng immediately noticed that there was something on the side of the closed aqua-colored door. It was dark purple in color, and was only the size of a soybean. Ning Cheng was sure that he had not seen this thing before, that is to say, this thing only appeared after the door at the bottom of the cold river had opened. The old woman was in a hurry to enter the door, and did not notice this thing. Should he return to the half-moon ship, or should he take away this soybean-sized thing? The shield on his body could only provide him with one choice. Moreover, even if he took the thing attached to the aqua-colored door, the shield would not be able to support him back to the half-moon ship. After Ning Cheng hesitated for a moment, he decided to take this thing away. First of all, the thing that had called out to him a moment ago was this soybean-sized thing, and the other was that Ning Cheng felt that the things in this place were not simple. If he could take away one of them, then it would be good. After he took this thing, once the shield lost its effect, he would then try to find a way to enter the mysterious yellow bead. Cultivation depended on opportunities. If there was an opportunity in front of him, if he did not take it, then his heart would feel suffocated and uncomfortable. What's more, Ning Cheng knew that when the old woman came out, she would definitely not give him any soup to drink. Once he made a decision, Ning Cheng no longer hesitated, and immediately walked towards this dark purple thing. As Ning Cheng walked through this place, he finally understood what the old woman meant when she said that the speed of the half-moon ship was very fast. Every step he took at the bottom of the river was extremely difficult. Ning Cheng almost revolved his entire body's true essence to move forward with his protective shield. Although it was only a distance of 1 or 2 meters, Ning Cheng had to walk for dozens of breaths. Furthermore, there was an array formation in front of the aqua-colored door that prevented the flow of water. Otherwise, it would have been even more difficult for him to walk. Seeing that the shield was about to shatter, Ning Cheng did not care about anything else, as he raised his hand and grabbed that dark purple thing. A terrible heat spread from Ning Cheng's palm to his whole body. Catcha, the protective shield shattered. Ning Cheng simply did not have enough time to enter the mysterious yellow bead, but at this time, he did not need to enter the mysterious yellow bead. The terrifying temperature of his palm had long dispersed the coldness around him. Ning Cheng could even feel that as long as the soybean-sized thing in his hand exploded, his entire body would turn into nothingness. A kind of flattering message was transmitted to Ning Cheng from this soybean-sized thing. It made Ning Cheng feel that although this thing was powerful, but it did not have any intention of harming him, which made Ning Cheng feel a bit more at ease. The next moment, Ning Cheng received the message that it had recognized him as its master. This inconspicuous thing in his hand unexpectedly had a spiritual nature. Moreover, it even took the initiative to recognize him as its master. Ning Cheng did not hesitate to imprint his own imprint on it. Ning Cheng had just imprinted his imprint on it, when this thing suddenly disappeared from his palm, not even waiting for Ning Cheng to refine it. Or rather, Ning Cheng simply did not have the ability to refine it. Ning Cheng soon found out where this thing was hiding. This thing was staying right next to the mysterious yellow bead, and was securely staying in his zifu. Originally it had taken a fancy to the mysterious yellow bead, which was why it had recognized him as its master. Although it was not because of his own imperial aura, but the mysterious yellow bead was not his. Ning Cheng had just learned from the message that this soybean-sized thing had a very resounding name. It was called Star River. As for its origin, as for what it was used for, he was completely unaware of it. The Star River just stayed motionless next to the mysterious yellow bead, seemingly waiting for Ning Cheng to refine it. Something is not right. Ning Cheng found that at this time he did not have a protective cover, nor did he return to the half-moon ship. He could now endure the cold around him. Not only could he endure it, he could also clearly feel that the cold around him was gradually weakening. In other words, the temperature at the bottom of the river was starting to rise. Ning Cheng did not know what was going on, but he was sure that this thing should have something to do with the Star River. The Star River was at the bottom of this cold river, but the temperature was not only not cold, but rather it was very high. It was a bit strange. Now that he had taken away the Star River, the temperature at the bottom of the river immediately rose. Ning Cheng already understood in his heart that the heat of the river was most likely completely absorbed by the Star River. It was precisely because the heat of the river was completely absorbed by the Star River that the river became so cold. Moreover, because of the existence of the Star River that was constantly absorbing heat, the river simply could not freeze. Such a terrifying thing unexpectedly remained in his Zifu. Fortunately it had already recognized him as its master. If it did not recognize him as its master, then wouldn't it also absorb all the heat from his body the next moment? This was the first time that Ning Cheng knew that there was a thing that could purely absorb heat. He decided that once he was free, the first thing he would do was to completely refine this Star River that had already recognized him as its master. He absolutely could not allow even half a mistake to exist. At this time the cold at the bottom of the river had already disappeared. Ning Cheng was not willing to waste even a little bit of time, and immediately sat down at the entrance and began cultivating. The spiritual chi here was so rich, if one did not cultivate then one would be a fool. After Ning Cheng sat down to cultivate, he realized that he had still underestimated the spiritual chi in this place. He had never tried to cultivate at such a fast speed. From true condensation first level to the great circle of true condensation first level, it only took him a few hours. Immediately he rushed to true condensation second level without even half a moment of stagnation, as his cultivation continued to rise. 2 days later, Ning Cheng unexpectedly cultivated to the late stages of true condensation second level. Ning Cheng was ecstatic in his heart. He intended to rush to the true condensation third level in one go. Unfortunately, when he was trying to break through to the true condensation third level, the extremely rich spiritual chi that he felt disappeared without a trace. It was completely absorbed. Ning Cheng said with some disappointment, if there was a lot of this spiritual chi, then who would be able to compare to his cultivation speed? Moreover, this spiritual chi was only brought out when the door was opened. Once he entered the door to cultivate, his cultivation speed would definitely be formidable. Ning Cheng simply could not imagine it. Unfortunately, the door was already closed. The things inside definitely belonged to that white-haired old woman. Feeling that his true essence was several times more powerful than before, Ning Cheng's disappointment immediately turned into happiness. He had been cultivating outside for nearly 3 days, but the old woman had not come out after entering the door. It seems that the old woman had lied to him when she said that she would bring him back to the Moze city in 2 to 3 days. Ning Cheng had no other way, and could only begin to refine the Star River in his Zifu. The Star River had already recognized him as its master, so when Ning Cheng began to refine it, it unexpectedly was extremely cooperative, and in just half a day, Ning Cheng had completely refined the Star River. It was not until this time that Ning Cheng came to know what the Star River was. It was actually a fire seed. Only by absorbing a large amount of flames, or a large amount of heat, would this fire seed be able to break out of its shell, and turn into a flame. It was because the Star River had felt the mysterious yellow bead, that it took the initiative to recognize Ning Cheng as its master. Now that the Star River had been refined, there was no longer any spiritual chi that could be absorbed. Ning Cheng pushed the door with his hand, but the door did not budge. It was extremely firm. Ning Cheng looked around the door again, and suddenly saw 4 very small characters, Scorching Harmony Immortal Mansion. This turned out to be an immortal mansion. Ning Cheng was incomparably shocked in his heart. He believed that no one would have thought that there would be an immortal mansion underneath the Thunder Falls scorching river. There were no legends about the immortal world in the Yixing mainland, but he had heard about the immortal world back on Earth. Of course, it was only a legend from ancient China. He did not expect that he would actually see an immortal mansion in front of him. Ning Cheng was not very sure if this immortal mansion was the immortal mansion that he had imagined, but he knew that the inside of this door was definitely not ordinary. Ning Cheng now completely understood why that old woman wanted to enter this door. She wanted to refine this immortal mansion. My goodness, this immortal mansion was going to be refined by her. How many things would she be able to obtain? Ning Cheng had just thought of this, when he felt an extreme sense of danger. Ning Cheng did not think about it and quickly retreated. Immediately he saw the originally closed door of the immortal mansion suddenly open, and the old woman who had entered the immortal mansion before was thrown out like a cannonball. The river in front of the door of the immortal mansion, which was originally sealed by the array formation, immediately began to flow. Ning Cheng was aware that he was being driven by the flowing river water, and quickly circulated his true essence to forcibly retreat. The old woman was thrown out. It was obvious that the refining was not successful. The old woman's cultivation was formidable, but she was still not successful in refining it. Ning Cheng did not even think about it. At this time he only knew to rush towards the surface of the river. Fortunately, at this time the temperature of the river was no longer ice cold, otherwise he would have died without a doubt. Boom, a loud sound rang out, as it rushed past Ning Cheng's side. Ning Cheng was driven by this huge flow of water, and immediately flew out of the river at the fastest speed. At the same time as he flew out of the river, he saw a black shadow rushing into the void from the surface of the river, disappearing in a twinkling of an eye. Ning Cheng, because of this powerful impact, spurted out a few mouthfuls of blood. After he appeared on the surface of the river, he immediately rushed to the shore. Lying on the shore, Ning Cheng took a deep breath. After a long time, he saw the figure of the white-haired old woman appear in a distant place. The white-haired old woman at this time was overflowing with blood from the corners of her mouth, and her clothes were in tatters. Ning Cheng could clearly see that her exposed skin was incomparably white. This old woman immediately activated a concealment restriction, and when she came out of the restriction, she once again reverted to her incomparably old appearance. But this time in her eyes, there was a trace of genuine loss and exhaustion. Seeing the white-haired old woman arrive in front of him, Ning Cheng climbed up with difficulty, coughed a few times and said, "Senior, what was that thing that washed away from the bottom of the river? I almost died because of that thing, it was really too terrible." The old woman sighed, "Even if you know it, it would be of no use. I am unable to refine it. Alas, I have implicated you. I will send you back to the Moza city." After saying that, the white-haired old woman did not seem to want to speak another word, as she brought out a flight-type magical weapon, and brought Ning Cheng back to the periphery of the Moza city at the fastest speed. Only then did she put Ning Cheng down and said, "This time I owe you a favor. I will need to find a place to go into seclusion. We will meet again someday." After the old woman and Ning Cheng casually said their goodbyes, she once again controlled the flight-type magical weapon, and in a twinkling of an eye disappeared without a trace. Ning Cheng looked at the direction in which the white-haired old woman disappeared, and sighed in his heart. Obtaining treasures also required a lot of luck. Fortunately his luck was not bad, and he was able to obtain a fire seed. The white-haired old woman looked very tired and lost, but Ning Cheng did not believe that she did not obtain anything in the immortal mansion for a few days. Perhaps she was greedy, although she obtained a lot of things, but she was still not satisfied. Chapter 103. Ji Luofei did not expect that in less than 3 days, she would break through from the Qi Gathering 5th level, and advance to the Qi Gathering 6th level. After advancing to the Qi Gathering 6th level, Ji Luofei did not even have the time to stabilize herself, as she hurriedly came out to tell the good news to Ning Cheng. She knew that Ning Cheng was most concerned about her cultivation. As long as her cultivation went up, Ning Cheng would be the happiest thing. But what made Ji Luofei puzzled was that Ning Cheng was not here, moreover he did not even leave a letter behind. Ji Luofei walked out of the room. She intended to ask the people in the rest stop when Ning Cheng went out. Ji Luofei walked to the exit of the rest stop. At this time there was a middle-aged beautiful woman asking the staff of the rest stop if there were any empty rooms available. Ji Luofei felt that this middle-aged beautiful woman was somewhat cordial. She subconsciously looked at her a few more times. At this time, the middle-aged beautiful woman seemed to be aware that Ji Luofei was looking at her. She turned around and saw Ji Luofei. She stared at Ji Luofei for a long time. When Ji Luofei frowned, this middle-aged beautiful woman suddenly called out in a trembling voice, "Luofei." After calling out this sentence, the middle-aged beautiful woman's eyes became a little red and swollen, and her expression was filled with excitement. "Who are you?" Ji Luofei stared at the middle-aged beautiful woman in front of her. She felt that there was some kind of connection between her and this middle-aged beautiful woman. This kind of vague feeling made her feel a little strange. "Luofei, what happened to your face?" After the middle-aged beautiful woman discovered that Ji Luofei's face was disfigured, she immediately asked in a nervous voice. This middle-aged beautiful woman was Xiong Qihua. She had never thought that her daughter's face would unexpectedly be disfigured. When she saw her daughter's disfigured face, she suddenly felt a burst of dizziness. She felt sorry for her daughter. It was because she did not take good care of her daughter, that her daughter's face was disfigured. Ji Luofei's strange and familiar feeling became even more intense. She once again asked, "Excuse me, who are you?" "Luofei, mother is sorry, I let you suffer." Xiong Qihua looked at her daughter in front of her. She did not even know who she was, and thought that her daughter's face was disfigured. Sadness welled up in her heart, and she could not help but sob. There was no need to pretend to come to this rest stop by accident. Xiong Qihua had already completely fallen into self-blame. Ji Luofei felt as if she had been struck by lightning, as she stared at the sad-looking middle-aged beautiful woman in front of her. Only after a good while did she ask, "Are you my mother?" Immediately, Ji Luofei realized that the other party was her mother. It was a natural connection that arose from the bottom of her heart, making it impossible for her to doubt it. "Mother." Ji Luofei suddenly could not hold back her tears. She had been alone for so many years. Before the change in Ningcheng, she had always been an abandoned corner of the Ning family. Countless times in the past, she had dreamed of returning to her mother's side. There were countless times when she couldn't hold on any longer. She always thought that as long as she lived on, one day, she would be able to find her mother. Now that her mother had appeared in front of her, she even wondered if she was dreaming. The mother and daughter no longer had the estrangement they had when they first met. They hugged each other and cried bitterly. After a long time, Ji Luofei finally remembered that they were still outside. She hurriedly brought her mother into her room. Xiong Qihua had also calmed down a bit at this time. She once again asked, "Luofei, what happened to your face? What the hell is going on?" She did not wait for Ji Luofei to answer, and muttered, "Mother is sorry, when you were still holding me in your hands, mother was cruel enough to leave you." Seeing her mother constantly blaming herself and constantly muttering to herself, Ji Luofei felt extremely uncomfortable in her heart. She grabbed her mother's hand and choked with sobs as she spoke, "Mother, this is not your fault. We were separated in the Dawn Forest. For us to be able to meet again, I am already very happy. Mother, did my father come with you?" After asking, Ji Luofei felt that something was wrong. Her mother had come, but her father had not, which meant that something had happened to her father. Thinking of this, her face immediately turned pale and stood up. "Mother, what about my father? Did my father not come out of the Dawn Forest?" Xiong Qihua also stood up, and pulled Ji Luofei's hand and spoke, "Luofei, everything is not as you wish, there are always many things. Although your father is gone, but us mother and daughter are able to see each other again. He should be able to rest in peace in the underworld." Ji Luofei fell to her knees, tears streaming down her face. She had never seen her father before he died. As a child, what could be more heartbreaking than this? Xiong Qihua helped her daughter up, while her heart was tangled. When she really saw her daughter, she suddenly did not want to lie to her daughter. Her daughter had treated her in such a manner, which meant that she had not spoken about the matter between her and Zhu Hongwen. Did she still want to continue to lie to her daughter? But whenever she wanted to speak the truth, Zhu Hongwen's smiling face would appear in front of her. She knew that as long as she spoke the truth to her daughter, she would never be able to be with her daughter again. She subconsciously stroked her belly. This was the crystallization between her and her beloved. If her daughter did not allow her to continue to be with Hongwen, then when her second child came out, wouldn't he also have to face the situation of not having a father? Only Hongwen's way could make her daughter accept her, and accept Hongwen as her stepfather. Not only her child could not live without Hongwen, but she also could not live without Hongwen. In this world, Hongwen was the only one who loved her. From the first day she met Hongwen, her love for him had never changed. Even if she was forced to marry into the Ji clan, even if she had to stay in the Dawn Forest for more than 10 years, Hongwen was always by her side, and almost never left her sight. "Mother, don't be sad, in the future we will go to the Dawn Forest, and pay our respects to my father." Although Ji Luofei was sad, she was still aware that there was something wrong with her mother. Xiong Qihua recovered, rubbed her red and swollen eyes, and said in a sobbing voice, "I was trapped in the Dawn Forest for more than 10 years, although my heart was always thinking of leaving the Dawn Forest, but I simply could not get out of the Dawn Forest. I could only stay in a safe place in the Dawn Forest, and was trapped for more than 10 years. Mother." Ji Luofei thought of her mother being trapped in the Dawn Forest for more than 10 years, her heart was filled with sadness. She had heard from Ning Cheng that the Dawn Forest was filled with dangers. But fortunately, each monstrous beast had its own territory. If they could find a safe place, then they would be able to barely survive. It could be seen that her mother was doing the same, but she did not need to think about it to know the hardships. Ji Luofei felt sad in her heart, and quickly came over to support Xiong Qihua. But Xiong Qihua consciously stroked her slightly bulging belly. This time Ji Luofei could see it clearly. She immediately asked in surprise, "Mother, She did not dare to ask, but her mind was completely blank. Her lower abdomen was slightly bulging. This was obviously a symptom of pregnancy. Her father was not here, how could her mother be pregnant? When Xiong Qihua heard Ji Luofei's words, her face turned incomparably pale. She raised her hand and grabbed a dagger, and was about to stab her neck. Ji Luofei panicked, and cried out in horror, "Mother, you!" She simply did not have time to think, and immediately grabbed Xiong Qihua's hand, unexpectedly stopping the weak and powerless Xiong Qihua. Xiong Qihua's dagger fell to the ground with a ding-dang sound. She sat down in a very decadent manner, and muttered, "Luofei, I am sorry to your father, I am also sorry to you, I don't even have the courage to commit suicide. Why is this happening? Why is this happening?" Ji Luofei muttered to herself. She did not know why this kind of thing happened when she and her mother met. Xiong Qihua seemed to be explaining to Ji Luofei, but also seemed to be talking to herself. "That day I left my residence a little bit, but did not expect to encounter a Class 3 monstrous beast. I was attacked by the monstrous beast, and was seriously injured. When I was desperately trying to escape, a person suddenly came to my rescue. I did not think that there would be someone else in the Dawn Forest, and was very happy in my heart. As long as there is someone here, it means that I would most likely be able to leave the Dawn Forest. Because I was already injured, coupled with the poisonous gas from the monstrous beast, I fainted." Ji Luofei had already forgotten about her mother's pregnancy, and nervously asked, "What happened next?" "Later that person found my residence, sent me back, and then helped me heal." Xiong Qihua spoke in a mournful tone. Ji Luofei did not hear her mother's tone, and still gratefully said, "Then I really have to thank that person, fortunately I met him." Xiong Qihua spoke in a sad tone, "If I could do it again, would rather face that monstrous beast alone, rather than being saved by him. Although that person saved me, but he was also affected by the poisonous gas from the monstrous beast. That monstrous beast's poisonous gas contained an obscene poison. When he was healing me, he was finally unable to hold himself back, and forced himself on me. Ji Luofei finally understood what was going on. A benefactor had saved her mother, but the result was that her benefactor was also affected by the poisonous gas from the monstrous beast, and forced himself on her mother. Should she hate the other party, or should she thank the other party? Xiong Qihua looked at her daughter's dull expression, and knew that her husband's words were correct. Zhu Hongwen thought that since Ning Xiaocheng and Luofei had lived together for such a long time, and Luofei was still a virgin, it indicated that Ning Xiaocheng was a man of integrity in the matters between men and women, or was good at deceiving others. There had to be a reason to forcefully have a relationship with someone. After I woke up, I desperately resisted, but the wood had already been turned into a boat. No matter how much I resisted, I could not change the fact. But at this time, housekeeper Zhu, who was struggling to find me in the dawn forest, finally found me because of my voice. After that person was seriously injured, although he was not a match for housekeeper Zhu, but he still managed to escape. My pitiful body was forcibly taken by that person, and was even seen clearly by a housekeeper. Xiong Qihua seemed to be unable to bear the sadness in her heart, and burst into tears. Ji Luofei also cried and hugged her mother. Her heart also felt sad for her mother's sad fate. After the two of them cried for a long time, Ji Luofei asked while sobbing, "Mother, do you know who that person was?" Xiong Qihua wiped her red and swollen eyes, and said while sobbing, "He seemed to have said that he was called Ning Xiaocheng." What? When Ji Luofei heard the name Ning Xiaocheng, she immediately felt a sweet taste in her mouth, and immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. Chapter 104. Ning Cheng is Ning Xiaocheng. He had just passed through the dawn forest. It's me, it's me. Ji Luofei was finally unable to speak about the relationship between her and Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng picked up the marriage vow, and suddenly felt a bit bitter. Why did all the girls he was with had to say goodbye in such an inexplicable way? Ji Luofei had left behind the marriage vow. It was clear that she no longer had anything to do with him. Ning Cheng grabbed the marriage vow in his hands. An indescribable loneliness rose in his heart. From the bottom of his heart, he still cared about Ji Luofei. Once, she had regarded Ning Cheng as her only relative. Even her paternal aunt Ji Yao he could not be compared to Ning Cheng. However, her mother brought her an unacceptable fact, which made it impossible for her to be together with Ning Cheng. "Mother, I must go see Ning Cheng again. I cannot live without him." After walking out of the Moze city, Ji Luofei finally could not suppress the desire and hesitation in her heart. She had to see Ning Cheng again. She did not know when it started, but she could not bear to live without Ning Cheng. But Xiong Qihua did not expect that after her daughter heard the news, she would immediately spit out a mouthful of blood. Even her breathing would become chaotic. "It doesn't matter if you do not believe me, but you must not hurt your own foundation." Xiong Qihua was really scared. In case her daughter's cultivation foundation was damaged, what could she do? The restriction at the door of the room suddenly opened. Ning Cheng was suddenly awakened from his endless contemplation. He had just looked up, when he saw a familiar figure rushing over, and throwing herself into his arms. "Mother, did you know that I know Ning Cheng?" Ji Luofei suddenly felt that something was wrong. Ning Cheng wearily entered the Moze city, and immediately went to the rest stop that he was staying at. In these past few days, his harvest was not small. Not only did he obtain many good things, but his cultivation had also advanced to the great circle of true condensation second level. He wanted to use the remaining few days to stabilize his cultivation. Xiong Qihua felt guilty in her heart. She lowered her head and remained silent. She did not know how to explain it to Luofei. In fact, in her heart, Ning Xiaocheng was a good person, and was completely worthy of her daughter. But there was no turning back. It has already come to this point. If she went back on her words, then the traces between her and her daughter would be difficult to make up for. Xiong Qihua secretly sighed in her heart, her daughter has not experienced the ways of the world, there are some things that she is still unable to understand. She could only slowly guide her daughter to mention the matter of her child's adoptive father. Fortunately, her daughter finally agreed to leave with her. It would be best if he never saw that guy called Ning Qing again. The words that Xiong Qihua was looking forward to were not spoken by Ji Luofei, on the contrary, she could feel her daughter's uneasiness and unwillingness to leave. Luofei, what's wrong with you? Xiong Qihua hurriedly supported her daughter who seemed to be about to fall, as she spoke in an incomparably flustered tone. Mother, let's go. Ji Luofei forcibly suppressed the pain in the depths of her heart, as she spoke in a calm tone while supporting Xiong Qihua. Ji Luofei slowly calmed down. Even if it was a sad thing, there would always be a time when it would calm down. Her mother lowered her head in silence. She thought that one of her mother's actions was because she had let down her father, and the other was because she had let down herself. Since Ning Cheng and her knew each other, then his mother should have heard it. Xiong Qihua murmured, but the two of us, mother and daughter, no matter where we go, we will be laughed at. Should I go and persuade her to come back? Zhu Hongwen looked at Ji Luofei's back as she walked away. Ji Luofei's mind was already fraught with anxiety because of her mother's matter, and her heart was in turmoil. At this time, when she suddenly heard that this person was her closest relative, Ning Cheng, it was equivalent to a sudden sneak attack on her. This kind of anxiety had finally reached a critical point, and she was completely unable to accept it. She could not bear to part with her daughter, and could not bear to part with her man. She even had such an idea popping up in her mind, that she could not tell Luofei about Zhu Hongwen's matter. However, she immediately discarded this idea. If she really dared to say such a thing, then she would never be able to meet her daughter again. Go. Where are we going? Where can I go? Xiong Qihua felt even more guilty in her heart, she felt that she had done something wrong. She felt that she had done something wrong, and that she would never be able to let down her daughter. Regardless of whether he could return to Earth in this lifetime, Ji Luofei was one of the most important people in his life. After she had come out from the desert with Ning Cheng, she had vowed that she would believe in Ning Cheng. Xiong Qihua silently turned around, and slowly walked away from the Moze city, her body was incomparably desolate. He did not even need to pick it up to look at it. Ning Cheng knew that this marriage certificate belonged to both him and Ji Luofei. It was obvious that his original copy was also kept by Ji Luofei. Before, he had thought that his own marriage certificate had already been burned to the ground, but he had never thought that it would always be with Ji Luofei. Luofei, I have found you, and have fulfilled a wish in my heart. I just want to abort the child, and live in seclusion with you. Xiong Qihua said with a sigh. It was when Tianmu Wan had heartlessly left him, and he had walked alone on the high road, when he was hit by the yellow beam of light. When he was at his most desolate and helpless, it was Ji Luofei who had carried him on her back, and then brought him back to the black stone house. Seeing her mother's indecisive eyes, Ji Luofei felt extremely sad in her heart. She believed that her mother would never lie to her. But in the depths of her heart, she was unable to produce even half a shred of hatred towards Ning Cheng. This kind of feeling was something that she could not explain clearly. Ning Cheng had only done that kind of thing under the influence of his lust, not to mention that he had also saved her mother's life. Ji Luofei did not answer her mother's words. She was sluggish for a long time, and then murmured, I don't believe it, Ning Cheng is definitely not such a person. After experiencing the matter with Tianmu Wan, Ning Cheng had never thought about the matters between men and women, and also did not want to think about it. If not for the fact that Ji Luofei and him were an engaged couple, he would not have had such contact with Ji Luofei. After she walked out of the Moze city, the feeling of wanting to see Ning Cheng became even more intense. Her heart suddenly leaned towards Ning Cheng. She did not want to leave the Moze city, or rather, she did not want to be further away from Ning Cheng. Ji. Now Ji Luofei and Tianmu Wan were saying their goodbyes. without any reason, without any explanation, and without even half a shred of hesitation. At that moment, he felt an unprecedented tranquility. He did not even feel the shock of suddenly arriving in a strange world. Luofei. Ning Qing quickly embraced Ji Luofei in his arms. His heart unexpectedly was filled with an indescribable joy. He had once thought that he and Ji Luofei were just friends, but after Ji Luofei left behind the marriage certificate, he knew that he already had Ji Luofei's shadow in his heart. After losing it, only then did he know how precious it was. Ning Cheng's first reaction was that Ji Luofei had gone to look for him. He almost took a few steps and arrived at Ji Luofei's secluded room. Then he saw the closed-up marriage certificate. After she had followed her mother out of the Moze city, she met the housekeeper Zhu Hongwen, and the uneasy feeling in her heart became even more intense. In the depths of her heart, there was a strong desire. Even if she had to leave, she wanted to see Ning Cheng, and ask him about this matter. Without hearing Ning Cheng's words with her own ears, she could not feel at ease in her heart. Seeing her daughter return to the Moze city after saying a few words, Xiong Qihua rubbed her eyes, as she secretly sighed in her heart. She knew that she had already lost her daughter. Ning Cheng. Ji Luofei whimpered. At this time she had already completely forgotten about the matter between Ning Cheng and her mother. Seeing her daughter vomit blood, Xiong Qihua was greatly shocked. At this time she regretted speaking those words. She and Zhu Hongwen had already calculated everything, but they had not calculated the reaction of Luofei when she heard the news. In their view, when Luofei heard the news, other than anger, she would not have even half a shred of expectation towards Ning Cheng. Mother, we have our own life, why should we be afraid of others laughing at us? Ji Luofei finished her sentence, as she suddenly felt a strong sense of uneasiness. She had a feeling that as long as she left Ning Cheng, she and Ning Cheng would no longer have any fate. But deep in her heart, she refused to doubt her own mother. At the same time she also refused to doubt Ning Cheng. He had never used this chi-gathering stone, and had always kept it by his side. Today, Ji Luofei had placed the two halves of the marriage certificate in front of him, causing Ning Cheng to feel a sense of sadness in his heart. He once again took out the chi-gathering stone that Ji Luofei had left for him, but remained silent. Ji Luofei did not understand the meaning behind Xiong Qihua's words, and did not take the initiative to ask the housekeeper Hongwen to pretend to accompany Xiong Qihua. She just said to Xiong Qihua, "Mother, let's find a distant city to live in seclusion, and then. Her aunt was also her relative. When her aunt had taken her away, she had almost never been able to see Ning Cheng again. Her mother was even closer to her than her aunt, but after she saw her mother, she always had a feeling in her heart that Ning Cheng was her closest relative. Xiong Qihua shook her head. "No, I feel that Luofei's choice is right, let's go. I am not worthy to be her mother, Ning Cheng took out a jade box from his storage bag, and then took out a dark yellow stone from the jade box. He held the stone in his hand in a daze. This chi-gathering stone was the first chi-gathering stone that he had obtained after coming to the Yixing mainland. This was something that Ji Luofei had risked her life to obtain from the fighting pot. Ji Luofei herself was not willing to use it. Her purpose was to let his cultivation speed up a bit. Ji Luofei really did not have the courage to let Xiong Qihua give birth to her younger brother or sister. Holding the dark yellow chi-gathering stone in his hand, the scene that appeared in Ning Cheng's mind was not that of Ji Luofei giving him the chi-gathering stone, nor was it the scene of Ji Luofei saving him from the shriveled palm in the desert, but rather the scene of Ji Luofei carrying him on her back, and slowly returning home. Xiong Qihua immediately knew that she was worried about her daughter, and had inadvertently spoken out with a huge flaw, and immediately asked in a daze, "Who is Ning Cheng?" "Don't." Ji Luofei's first reaction was unexpectedly a strong objection. Only with what she had said a moment ago, would her daughter take the initiative to ask Zhu Hongwen to be the nominal father of the unborn child. Chapter 105. Ji Luofei had thought of many ways to calm Ning Qing down, but when she saw Ning Qing, she could not remember even a single one of them. But when she saw Ning Qing holding the marriage certificate in one hand and the qi-gathering stone in the other, she completely forgot that she had come back to ask Ning Qing about it, or rather, she had come back to see Ning Qing. What happened? You want to give me the marriage certificate, and then leave alone? Ning Qing stroked Ji Luofei's hair, his heart was filled with pity. When he first came to this world, he knew that he and Ji Luofei were not people of the same world, and took the initiative to dissolve the marriage. But now, his cultivation was far higher than Ji Luofei's. Moreover, he also had feelings for Ji Luofei, he was a person who cherished the feelings of adversity. Because of this, he did not understand why Ji Luofei left without saying goodbye. Similarly, for Ji Luofei to come back, he felt a lot more comfortable in his heart. Ji Luofei felt Ning Cheng's warm embrace, she suddenly reached out and touched the qi-gathering stone in Ning Cheng's hand, and softly said, "You still have this?" "Yes, I still have it." Ning Cheng felt that Ji Luofei's chaotic mood had calmed down, he knew that something must have happened to Ji Luofei. Ji Luofei did not know how to bring up this matter, she had intended to ask Ning Cheng, and even tell Ning Cheng, the fact that he already had a child, and then quietly leave. However, she found that after she saw Ning Cheng, she could no longer leave. Since she could not leave, she did not dare to speak about this matter. She believed that her mother would not lie to her, but she was completely unable to accept this fact. Even thinking about it, it was still incomparably terrifying. Once again aware of Ji Luofei's panic, Ning Cheng suddenly patted Ji Luofei's back and asked, "Did someone come to look for you?" "How do you know?" Ji Luofei's rhetorical question exposed the truth of Ning Cheng's question. Ning Cheng was slightly surprised, "Was it your aunt who came to look for you? Did she ask you to agree to the Shui clan's request?" Ji Luofei shook her head, "No, I would rather believe you than believe in my aunt. In my heart, you are more important than my aunt. Just follow me." Ji Luofei's heart was already filled with dependence, or rather Ning Cheng's words had already been planted in her heart. Ning Cheng's thoughts were much more meticulous compared to Ji Luofei, so when Ji Luofei said that she believed in him, Ning Cheng immediately knew that the one who came to look for Ji Luofei was definitely Xiong Qihua. Only Ji Luofei's mother was closer to her than her aunt, and only her mother could make Ji Luofei leave him. Moreover, he had met Ji Luofei's mother and had an unpleasant experience with her. "Did your mother come to see you?" Ning Cheng immediately asked. Ji Luofei trembled, she quickly pushed Ning Cheng away, and with a pale face she nodded and said, "Yes, my mother came to find me, she said that she had seen you in the Dawn Forest." "That's right, I really did see your mother in the Dawn Forest, moreover I also." Ning Cheng originally wanted to tell Ji Luofei about the matter of Zhu Hongwen and Xiong Qihua, but thinking that this matter would definitely not be a small blow to Ji Luofei, as such he did not say it out loud. "Ning Cheng, you towards my mother, do you know who she is?" Ji Luofei asked with a pale face, as she secretly trembled as she looked at Ning Cheng. She was hoping that Ning Cheng would say that it was a lie, that he had not laid his hands on her mother. She also unconsciously believed from the bottom of her heart, that her mother would not lie to her. Ning Cheng did not know what Xiong Qihua had said to Ji Luofei, he sighed and said, "Luofei, when I saw your mother, I knew that she was your mother, Xiong Qihua." Ji Luofei's tears fell like rain, "Since you knew that she was my mother, why did you still lay your hands on her?" But she could not blame Ning Cheng, she simply did not know what she should do at this moment. Ji Luofei's memory of her mother was very deep, but her emotions were very indifferent. At this time, Ji Luofei even wanted to say to Ning Cheng, that he would take her to a place where there was no one around, and that she would never come out again. But she was unable to say these words, she suddenly felt that she was completely redundant. Ning Cheng looked at the crying Ji Luofei, he did not know how to comfort her, and could only say, "In fact, when I knew that Xiong Qihua was your mother, I gave you face, and did not lay my hands on her." If your mother said that I had hurt her, then I would have been helpless. The reason why I did not tell you about meeting your mother, was not because of guilt, nor was it because I had hurt her. Ning Qing guessed that Xiong Qihua might have added oil to the fire in front of Ji Luofei, saying that he had seriously injured her, and then asked him to leave Ji Luofei. Even if Ning Qing thought about it, he would not have thought that Zhu Hongwen's plan was several times more excessive than what he had thought. If not for Ji Luofei's reluctance to part with Ning Qing, Zhu Hongwen's plan would have already succeeded. You said that you did not touch my mother. Then after you saved my mother, and even if you were not poisoned, that child was not yours? Ji Luofei's voice trembled, as she threw out a few questions in succession. Even before Ning Qing answered, she thought that Ning Qing was not lying to her. Wait. Ning Qing quickly stopped Ji Luofei's questions. When did I save your mother? I was just passing by the place where your mother lived in the Dawn Forest. Moreover, I was not poisoned, I was not even afraid of the poisonous gas of the sand poison beast, so how could I be poisoned by ordinary poisons? And what about the child? What the hell is going on? After asking these questions, Ning Qing had already guessed that perhaps Xiong Qihua had a child, and had said in front of Ji Luofei that the child was his. If that was the case, then this woman was really not worthy to be a mother. Ji Luofei was not a fool. When she heard Ning Qing's words, she immediately knew that her mother was most likely lying to her. Thinking back to her mother's unnatural speech, and how coincidental it was for her to find the rest stop. Moreover, her mother and Zhu Hongwen were together, and it seemed that her father's death was not very sad. She completely understood what was going on. I'm sorry, I almost left you. Ji Luofei was unable to contain her emotions, and once again threw herself into Ning Qing's arms. For her, she would rather Ning Qing was telling the truth, and her mother had lied to her. When you saw my mother in the Dawn Forest, did you also see that Zhu Hongwen? As Ji Luofei thought of these things, her heart once again felt like it was being cut by a sharp knife. Now that she understood the truth of the matter, she knew that her mother's words to her were somewhat contradictory. Ning Qing patted Ji Luofei's shoulder. He knew that Ji Luofei already understood what was going on. Since Ji Luofei understood, then there was no need to continue to talk about this matter. Luofei, in my hometown, there is an ancient adage, the son should not speak of his father's mistakes. This matter is not worth mentioning. I will not explain the details of this matter. Remember to believe my words. I have not done anything wrong to you or your parents. I believe you. Ji Luofei completely calmed down. Apart from Ning Qing, her aunt wanted to marry her into the Shui clan, and her mother, who she had just met, unexpectedly lied to her for an outsider. At this time in her heart, only Ning Qing was worthy of her trust. Fortunately, deep in her heart, she still believed in Ning Qing, otherwise she would not have come back. Your hometown. Ji Luofei was no longer disturbed by other things, and her thoughts immediately became clear. Ning Qing knew that he had spilled the beans. He somewhat embarrassedly scratched his head and said, "This matter is a long story, I will explain it to you later. And, Ning Qing, in the future when your cultivation is high enough, you can take me to the Dawn Forest to worship my father, and then we. Ji Luofei suddenly thought of her own appearance, and was finally unable to speak about the matter of marriage. Ning Qing knew the meaning of Ji Luofei's words. He wanted to wait until his cultivation was high enough, and then see if he could return to Earth. If when he got married, he could let his younger sister participate in it, that would be great. Moreover, he also had a thought in his mind, and that was to restore Ji Luofei's appearance. Feeling that Ji Luofei in his arms was getting softer and softer, Ning Qing finally could not help but lower his head and kiss Ji Luofei's lips. The moment she touched Ning Qing's lips, Ji Luofei felt her mind go blank. She subconsciously tightened her arms around Ning Qing, and clumsily returned the kiss. For them, this was the first time. Chapter 106. Under this happy mood, Ning Qing unexpectedly broke through from the true condensation second level to the true condensation third level, He had just stabilized his cultivation, and did not even have the time to celebrate with Ji Luofei, when Lu Xian from the God Wind 5-Star Academy came looking for him. That's right. Right now, I can only hope that the reason why you scored 100 points in the previous exam was not because you had seen these things, but because of your memory, Lu Xian said with a wry smile. Ning Qing interrupted Lu Xian's words. Deacon Lu, the Academy's facilities assessment, how many points did our God Wind Academy get? Deacon Lu, please speak, I will definitely do my best in the semifinals. After Ning Qing felt relieved, he decided to help the God Wind Academy. Ning Qing nodded and spoke, if that's the case, then the choice would indeed be somewhat troublesome. They had not even started, but the score of the God Wind Academy was already at the bottom. Ning Qing frowned and said, this score is really not high, compared to the first place Falling Star Academy, they unexpectedly have a difference of more than 30 points. What about the other matches? How do they compete? Deacon Lu, the great meet has not yet started, so you don't have to worry about it. Maybe we still have a chance. Ning Qing comforted him. Ning Qing chuckled and spoke, it looks like I am participating in the God Wind Academy's memory test. At this time, only 7 days had passed since the semifinals. Lu Xian sighed and said, not only does it have an impact, it has a huge impact. Our God Wind Academy has also recently found some good seedlings. If we hold the great meet 2 years from now, and compete for the position of a 6-star academy, then there would still be a glimmer of hope. Now that the Angry Axe Valley had suddenly opened in advance, the Hua Continent's 5-star academies had to follow the requirements of the other 5-star academies, so the tournament had also been brought forward to now. But if the tournament starts now, my God Wind Academy absolutely does not have the qualifications. Lu Xian spoke with some anxiousness. Ning Xiaocheng, this time there has been some unforeseen events. Originally the Angry Axe Valley would only open after 2 years, but a few days ago I don't know what happened, but the smoke from the illusion array outside suddenly dispersed. The smoke outside the Angry Axe Valley has already dispersed. It means that in at most a month's time, the Angry Axe Valley will open. The quota for the Angry Axe Valley in the entire lower-class continent was 20 people, of which the 6-star academies that would be selected would have 5 spots, the second place would have 3 spots, the third and fourth place would have 2 spots, and the fifth place would only have 1 spot. The rest of the spots will be divided among the other academies and sections. After a pause, Lu Xian sincerely spoke to Ning Qing, Ning Xiaocheng, I will not hide it from you now. The God Wind Academy is no longer worthy of its name, it is even inferior to some of the 4-star academies. My God Wind Academy's only profound core cultivator is Dean Zhang. A few years ago, he was seriously injured and went into seclusion, and he is still unable to come out. After this incident, the window paper between Ning Qing and Ji Luofei was pierced through. Saying that, Ning Qing felt that something was wrong, as he once again asked, Deacon Lu, the Angry Axe Valley will open ahead of time, and our 5-star tournament will also open ahead of time. Is it because after the 5-star tournament, the outstanding people will have the opportunity to enter the Angry Axe Valley? If it was said that Ning Qing only had some feelings for Ji Luofei, then Ji Luofei did not hesitate to return to Ning Qing, causing Ji Luofei's shadow to be branded in his heart. After experiencing the matter with Tian Mu Wan, this was the first time that Ning Qing truly let another girl walk into his heart. Regarding the strength of the Shui clan, Ji Luofei had already told him about it. They had a profound core cultivator, whose strength was in no way inferior to a 5-star academy. Deacon Lu, does the early opening of the Angry Axe Valley have any impact on our God Wind Academy? Ning Qing asked as he did not understand. Lu Xian spoke with annoyance, it is this matter, if 2 years from now, even if we are not able to get the first place in the 5-star tournament, we would definitely not end up in the last place. But with the tournament being brought forward, the competitiveness of our God Wind Academy would immediately drop by a lot. Ning Qing also thought about it. The Shui clan was after all one of the 7 great clans of the Hua continent, as such they would not retaliate against the 2 of them for Luofei, moreover they would also not offend the God Wind Academy for such a trivial matter. After all, Luofei had not agreed to any of the requests of the Shui clan, she had not even seen the people from the Shui clan. Ning Qing immediately remembered the things that he and the old woman had done in the forbidden cold river a few days ago. Could it be that the immortal mansion had been moved by the white-haired old woman? As a result the Angry Axe Valley had opened ahead of time? According to the old woman, the immortal mansion in the forbidden cold river had appeared together with the Angry Axe Valley. That's right, some of the academies have powerful cultivations, but their memory and comprehension ability are not very strong. If that's the case, then the academies would not only need to choose powerful disciples to participate in the tournament, but they would also need to choose some disciples with strong memory. Lu Xian said in agreement. Lu Xian hurriedly explained, I did not make it clear, each of the academies that choose 5 people must be below the essence building realm, and must be under 30 years of age. Deacon Lu, can you tell me about the rules of the 5-star tournament, as well as how to participate? When Ning Qing heard that he still had the opportunity to enter the Angry Axe Valley, he immediately became interested. He did not believe that if he helped the God Wind Academy to obtain a place in the tournament, then the God Wind Academy would not give him a spot. Ning Qing knew, if that was really the case, then he would have to show his true strength. Fortunately, Ning Qing did not care about it. In the first written exam he had done one less question. Now that he had joined the God Wind Academy, if it was not a last resort, he did not need to hide his true strength. On the surface, the God Wind Academy is stronger than the Shui clan, but in terms of real strength, the God Wind Academy is indeed not as good as the Shui clan. But my God Wind Academy has been established for thousands of years, so we are not afraid of a trivial Shui clan. Did you offend the Shui clan? Lu Xian was an old fox. With just a few casual words from Ning Qing, he had already guessed 1 or 2 things. Wouldn't that mean that each academy would send their most powerful person to the tournament? Ning Qing felt that it was not that simple. Lu Xian immediately said, so it was this kind of thing, then you can rest assured, the Shui clan would not go so far as to offend my God Wind Academy for this kind of thing. Now I will talk to you about the tournament of the 5-star academies. Ning Qing frowned. He had intended to use the tournament in 2 years to get a place in the Angry Axe Valley, but now it seems that there was no hope for him. He was just a nobody, and would absolutely not be able to get a place in the Angry Axe Valley. But the Angry Axe Valley was going to open in advance, so why did Lu Xian come looking for him? Ning Qing had the most powerful memory in the God Wind Academy. If Ning Qing did not rely on his memory to pass the exam, then the God Wind Academy would really be in danger. Lu Xian had come here to ask for Ning Qing's full help. Now that Ning Qing asked, he quickly explained in detail. A senior from the Jia continent thought that the tournament of the 5-star academies should be held as soon as possible. It would be best if a 6-star academy could be selected within a few days. So the tournament is divided into 2 parts. The first part is the evaluation of the academy's facilities. This has already been evaluated. Lu Xian nodded and said, the second round of the selection of disciples for the 5-star academies has been cancelled. The top 100 students who were supposed to participate in the second round will directly enter the 5-star academies as the winners. 3 days later, the tournament of the 5-star academies will be held. After the tournament, a 6-star academy will be selected on the spot, and then 20 people will be selected to enter the Angry Axe Valley. The Angry Axe Valley only opens once in many years. The resources and the good things inside are simply unimaginable. The cultivators from the intermediate class continents and advanced class continents that enter the Angry Axe Valley are beyond our control. But in the lower class continents, the more people that enter the Angry Axe Valley, the greater the potential for future development. Ning Qing did not conceal anything, and spoke about Ji Luofei's matter. After discussing some of the details of the tournament with Ning Qing in detail, Lu Xian finally left Ning Qing's residence. If Ning Qing was able to show his bravery in the tournament of the 5-star academies, then the God Wind Academy would have a promising future. Deacon Lu, I was originally worried that a woman from the Falling Star Academy would know that I had come here, so I changed my name to Ning Xiaocheng. But now I am not afraid of her. Deacon Lu can just call me by my original name Ning Cheng. According to Deacon Lu's words, wouldn't the strength of the God Wind Academy be even worse than the Shui clan of the Moze city? Ning Cheng suddenly had a bad feeling in his heart. He had joined the God Wind Academy in order to seek a backer. If the God Wind Academy was not as good as the Shui clan, then what kind of backer was he looking for? The second round was the tournament of comprehension. It was still the same 5 people who participated. Finally, the examinees from each of the academies will be chosen with the highest score, as the score for that academy in the second round, and will be added to the total score. The third round is the tournament of duels. Whoever wins the most matches, will have a higher score. The specific rules of the third round, will have to wait for the Great Elder to personally announce it. Lu Xian said with some embarrassment, the total score is also 100 points, our God Wind Academy has 41 points. The highest score is the Falling Star Academy, with 75 points, followed by the Clear Sky Academy with 60 points, the Luo Hua Academy with 55 points, and the Thunder Academy with 53 points. Lu Xian continued to reply, the next 3 rounds of the second part of the tournament, each academy can only choose a maximum of 5 people to participate in the tournament. Once these 5 people are selected, they will have to participate in all 3 rounds of the tournament, and are not allowed to change people in the middle of the tournament. The first round is still the same as the tournament of memory. The Great Elder from the intermediate class continents will personally come up with the questions. The highest score will be taken as the score for the academy in the first round of the tournament. Our God Wind Academy is counting on you to help us get the highest score in this round, and pull the gap between us and the other academies. Deacon Lu, isn't there still a few days until the semifinals? Ning Cheng opened the restriction and found that Lu Xian had personally come over, and immediately asked with some doubts. Chapter 107. Today was the day of the tournament of the 5-star academies. Ning Cheng and Ji Luo Fei had already checked out of their rooms, and headed towards the Moze Grand Plaza. The Moze city was very lively and bustling, although the 2 of them came out early in the morning, but the streets were still filled with people. Ning Cheng, I'm going inside to buy a few clothes. Ji Luo Fei said as she pointed to a women's clothing shop not far from them. Ning Cheng looked at the women's clothing shop, and immediately said, okay, you go ahead, I'll wait for you here. Ji Luo Fei and him lived together in the rest stop. In order to avoid some unnecessary things, they had never come out of the rest stop. Now that they came out, it was only right for them to buy a few clothes to wear. Standing outside the clothing shop, Ning Cheng looked around. Since he had obtained the foundation of alchemy, he had always wanted to buy a pill furnace, but he had never gone out. He wanted to see if there was an artifact shop around. If there was, then when Ji Luo Fei came out, they could go together. Ning Cheng did not see an artifact shop, but he saw a bald cultivator at true condensation 3rd level. The reason why he was paying attention to this cultivator, was because his spiritual consciousness could feel that this bald cultivator was wearing a jade bracelet on his wrist. This jade bracelet had a familiar aura. When Ning Cheng felt this aura, he immediately remembered the imperial jade seal that he had obtained. The jade bracelet and the imperial jade seal had the same aura, that is to say, these 2 things came from the same place. Ning Cheng was moved in his heart, and immediately followed. He did not recklessly ask where the jade bracelet on the bald cultivator's wrist came from. He felt that this bald cultivator was very strange, which made Ning Cheng feel extremely uncomfortable. The bald cultivator walked along the way, and from time to time inquired about the prices of some of the stalls on the side of the road. Just when Ning Cheng made up his mind to ask about it, he suddenly heard a loud noise. Ning Cheng turned around and saw Ji Luo Fei being cornered in the corner of the street. Not only was the veil on her face missing, but there were also a few bloodstains on her face. Ning Cheng's anger immediately rushed up. He no longer cared about tracking the bald cultivator's jade bracelet, and immediately rushed towards Ji Luo Fei's side. When Ning Cheng turned around and rushed towards Ji Luo Fei, that bald cultivator unexpectedly looked back at Ning Cheng, while frowning. Then, he looked at the jade bracelet in his hand and revealed a cold smile. He turned around and squeezed into the crowd, disappearing in an instant. Ugly slut, rejecting elder brother, you is only a matter of your eyes being blind, but you actually dare to proclaim that elder brother you is not worthy of you. Today I, your father, want to see how arrogant this slut is. A man in his 20s, at the Qi gathering 9th level with thin eyes spoke out, as he grabbed Ji Luo Fei's clothes with one hand. It was obvious that he wanted to tear Ji Luo Fei's clothes apart. There were many onlookers around, but none of them stepped forward to persuade him. They were all watching the show. Some people didn't even dare to step forward and just watched from afar. Ning Cheng had already arrived at the side of the Qi gathering realm cultivator, as he raised his hand and punched out. Ka! A bloody mist sprayed out. This Qi gathering 9th level narrow-eyed man's arm that was trying to grab Ji Luo Fei was unexpectedly turned into a bloody mist by Ning Cheng. This man at the Qi gathering 9th level issued a mournful scream. Not waiting for him to react, Ning Cheng raised his hand and slapped him a few times in the face. Pa 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 pa. This Qi gathering 9th level narrow-eyed man's face and teeth were all smashed by Ning Cheng's slaps, as his blood splashed all over his body. Young Master gone. A late-stage Qi gathering realm cultivator, who was dressed as a servant, quickly came forward to help the narrow-eyed man up. After calling out to young Master gone, he immediately pointed his finger at Ning Cheng's nose and shouted, "You dare to touch young Master gone, you. Perhaps he was too angry, to the point that he couldn't even speak a complete sentence. Ning Cheng immediately kicked out with his foot, directly sending the servant who was pointing at him flying with a kick. Then he didn't even bother to look at the two guys, and stepped forward to support Ji Luo Fei. Ji Luo Fei's eyes were filled with worry as she looked at Ning Cheng and said, "I'm fine, that person was Shui Yu's cousin from the Shui clan, called Shui Fenggan. When he saw me a moment ago, he immediately wanted to take me away. He said that I was slandering his cousin Shui Yu outside, and I refused to go with him, so he immediately started to beat me. The elder brother next to me saw me being beaten, and begged for mercy from the side. Shui Fenggan immediately killed him, and even used a fireball to burn him to ashes on the spot." Saying that, Ji Luo Fei's eyes turned red. This was a person she did not know, but this person actually died for her. Ning Cheng then noticed that there was a pile of ashes not far from Ji Luo Fei. His heart was immediately filled with a strong killing intent. He came from Earth, and the concept of respect between mortals and cultivators was still relatively weak. He looked back and saw the servant that he had kicked flying was supporting Shui Fenggan to leave. Apparently he knew that continuing to stay here would not be good for him. Ning Cheng took out a jade box, and raised his hand to put away the ashes on the ground, while at the same time he once again blocked the path of Shui Fenggan and said, "Do you want to leave? What do you want? I am a person from the Shui clan." Shui Fenggan's teeth were all knocked out by Ning Cheng, his face was badly mutilated, and even his words were unclear, but the people around him were able to understand the meaning behind his words. "Are the people from the Shui clan that great?" Ning Cheng sarcastically said. The servant with the cultivation of Qi gathering realm said, "If you dare to make a move on us, then you will never be able to leave the Moza city." "I do not dare to make a move on you." Ning Cheng once again spoke with disdain. Shui Fenggan and the servant did not even have the time to breathe a sigh of relief, when two wind edges chopped towards them. "I only dare to kill you." Puff puff. Two blood sprayed out. Shui Fenggan and the servant beside him were killed by Ning Cheng's two wind edges. All the people around them were shocked. No one could have thought that there would be someone who would dare to kill the people from the Shui clan in the Moza city. Moreover, he even dared to kill them in such an arrogant manner. After Ning Cheng killed Shui Fenggan, he knew that he could not stay here for long. He had to return to the God Wind Academy as soon as possible. Only then would he be able to guarantee his safety. So after Ning Cheng killed the two people from the Shui clan, he immediately took Ji Luo Fei and quickly left. It was not until Ningcheng was far away that people started to talk about it. The other people knew that the people from the Shui clan would soon come here, as such they did not dare to talk about Shui Fenggan's corpse. I remember, that man from a moment ago seemed to be Ning Xiaocheng. That's right, he joined the God Wind Academy, and is now a core disciple of the God Wind Academy. No wonder he was not afraid of the Shui clan, he turned out to be a core disciple of the God Wind Academy. Some of the people in the crowd had already recognized Ningcheng. Even if he was a core disciple of the God Wind Academy, killing the people from the Shui clan, I estimate that it would still be enough. Someone whispered from the side. Although there were a lot of discussions, but no one dared to say anything wrong with the disciples of the Shui clan. When Ningcheng and Ji Luofei arrived at the Moze Grand Plaza, the number of people here was even more than the number of people who had participated in the written exam. Although today was not the day when the disciples of the 5-star academies would be selected, but it was the more important tournament of the 5-star academies. The Hua continent wanted to select a 6-star academy to rule over the entire low-class continent, because the Angry Axe Valley was opened in advance. The tournament of the 5-star academies was also held in advance. Most of the people were clear, the reason why the tournament of the 5-star academies was held in advance, was mainly because the 6-star academy was about to be selected. Since the Angry Axe Valley was opened in advance, then the quota to enter the Angry Axe Valley must be selected first. The quota for the 6-star academies to enter the Angry Axe Valley was the most, and the resources that they would obtain in the future would also be the most. First to select a 6-star academy, then with the cooperation of the resources in the Angry Axe Valley, this 6-star academy would slowly overtake the rest of the 5-star academies, and finally become the leader of the entire low-class continent. After the two of them arrived at the Moze Grand Plaza, Ji Luofei was still very worried. She had stayed in the Moze city for a longer time than Ningcheng, and knew that the power of the Shui clan was very strong. Now that Ningcheng had killed the people from the Shui clan, she was worried that the Shui clan would retaliate against Ningcheng by hook or by crook. Luofei, you don't have to worry. The Shui clan would not go so far as to fall out with the God Wind Academy just because of a trivial chi-gathering cultivator. Lu Xian had said that he was not afraid of the Shui clan, so why should he be afraid? Even if the God Wind Academy does not expect us to help them in the tournament, we are still the disciples of the God Wind Academy. The God Wind Academy will not just sit back and do nothing. As long as this matter is reasonable, after the tournament of the 5-star academies, we can go to the God Wind Academy, and we will not be afraid of the revenge of the Shui clan. Even if the Shui clan is powerful, would they be able to break into the God Wind Academy? Not to mention that Ningcheng knew that he would be fine even if he killed Shui Fenggan. The Moze city was still in the midst of the 5-star tournament. The Shui clan would absolutely not dare to cause trouble for the God Wind Academy at this time. If the Shui clan really wanted to cause trouble, then it would be exactly what Ningcheng wanted. He was sure that the powerhouses from the intermediate class continents would not allow such a thing to happen. Once it happened, the Shui clan would most likely be removed from the Moze city. Even if Ningcheng knew that he had killed the people from the Shui clan, he would not hesitate to kill this guy, and then escape to the Thunder Fall Desert with Ji Luofei. Ji Luofei was being bullied in front of him, how could he bear it? He did not go to the Shui clan to settle accounts, that was because his strength was not enough. If his strength was strong enough, after he killed Shui Fenggan, he would have even gone to the Shui clan to ask for compensation. He had lived with his younger sister Ning Ruolan since childhood, and had been bullied many times. But Ningcheng would always desperately fight back. He was very clear about the truth. If he was bullied once and did not speak up, then the second time he would be bullied even more severely. So he had never been a person who would swallow his anger. If anyone dared to bully him and his younger sister, he would fight back with all his might. Ji Luofei was worried, but she was not worried about herself, she was worried about Ningcheng. Being together with Ningcheng made her feel completely happy. She did not want any accident to happen to Ningcheng. If she was worried about herself, then she would not have killed Xian Yuan Kuei in the Zhanglu city to vent Ning Cheng's anger. Chapter 108. When Ning Cheng arrived at the God Wind Academy's station with Ji Luofei, Lu Xian quickly came up to greet them. As a deacon with the cultivation of profound congealing realm, even if Ning Cheng was a core disciple of the God Wind Academy, Lu Xian's attitude towards Ning Cheng could be considered as polite. What made Ning Cheng feel strange was that he unexpectedly did not see Zhu Mu'er. Just when Ning Cheng was about to ask Zhu Mu'er about it, suddenly a crisp and decisive voice sounded out from the side, "Deacon Lu, I want to represent the God Wind Academy in the 5-star tournament." Ning Cheng saw that the one who spoke was a female cultivator at true condensation 6th level, with a dark complexion. However, her appearance was very pretty, and she was even more beautiful than Zhu Mu'er. When Lu Xian saw the female cultivator who spoke, he gave a wry smile and spoke, "Meng Jingxiu, in the first round of the tournament, we have Ning Cheng as our point." Hearing the name Meng Jingxiu, Ning Cheng immediately knew who the other party was. Meng Jingxiu was the 7th person in the preliminary written exam, and was also the person with the highest score in the God Wind Academy before he joined the God Wind Academy. "Deacon Lu, this isn't a competition of spiritual roots. My spirit root is indeed slightly inferior, but even in the first round of the written exam, I won't necessarily lose to him. At the very least, my 71 points are completely based on my own memory. I haven't even seen any talisman foundation before." As Meng Jingxiu spoke till here, she deliberately glanced at Ning Cheng, and then continued, "Even if I do not score in the first round of the written examination, I can still show good results in the second and third rounds. I'm confident that I won't be inferior to anyone in terms of comprehension or combat. Deacon Lu, you are a profound congealing senior, so you should know that my true essence is much stronger than the average true condensation 6th level cultivators." Ning Cheng was simply too lazy to reply. In his heart he really admired this Meng Jingxiu. This woman's purpose of joining the God Wind Academy should be similar to his own. The strength of the God Wind Academy was the worst. If he did not join, then this Meng Jingxiu would certainly represent the God Wind Academy in the tournament of the 5-star academies. Now that he participated, he directly squeezed out Meng Jingxiu's spot. For Meng Jingxiu to participate in the God Wind Academy's tournament, there was only one purpose, and that was to enter the Angry Axe Valley. This is a woman with a lot of ideas. Moreover, she was not even 30 years old. Moreover, she did not have a pure spiritual root, yet she was able to cultivate to the true condensation 6th level, which meant that she was definitely not an ordinary person. Although Ji Luofei was very dissatisfied with Meng Jingxiu saying that Ning Cheng was not as good as her, but she did not like to bicker with others over such a boring matter. As such she just frowned and no longer spoke. In her heart, she was still worried about the Shui family. Lu Xian was also in a very difficult situation. He knew that Meng Jingxiu had joined the God Wind Academy in order to enter the Angry Axe Valley. If Meng Jingxiu did not even have the qualifications to participate in the tournament, then with her qualifications, she absolutely would not be able to obtain a quota to enter the Angry Axe Valley. Even if the God Wind Academy took the first place, she would not be able to obtain the quota. At this time, a middle-aged woman arrived beside Lu Xian, took out a letter, and handed it to Lu Xian. After Lu Xian opened the letter and read it, he secretly sighed. He put away the letter, and said to Meng Jingxiu, "In that case, you can also count as one. Ning Cheng, your cultivation is the lowest. As long as you participate in the first 2 rounds, the third round will be mainly scored by Chu Yong Xian, Gu Hong and Min Rui. The second round will be scored by Meng Jingxiu." As long as Meng Jingxiu could participate, she did not care about the other people who participated. She believed in her own ability, and was absolutely not worse than the others. The quota to enter the Angry Axe Valley was very difficult. Even if it was difficult, she still had to work hard. Ning Cheng also did not say anything. After Lu Xian confirmed the 5 people, Ning Cheng pulled Lu Xian to the side and said, "Deacon Lu, I had a small conflict with the people from the Shui clan this morning. During the course of the tournament, I will ask Deacon Lu to help me look after Ji Luofei. Lu Xian knew that the relationship between Ning Cheng and Ji Luofei was not shallow. If their relationship was ordinary, then the two of them would not have stayed in the same room. Now that he heard Ning Cheng's words, he immediately laughed and said, "You can rest assured, Luofei is also a disciple of my God Wind Academy, although my God Wind Academy is at the bottom of the 5-star academies, but we are not afraid of a clan." "That's right, what kind of conflict did you have in the morning?" Ning Cheng gave an awkward smile and said, "I killed a disciple of the Shui clan in the morning. He dared to bully Luofei, so I was a bit heavy." "Ah." Lu Xian suddenly felt a bitter taste in his mouth. This was called a small conflict. He had already killed a person from the Shui clan. It would be strange if the Shui clan would let it go. "You can tell me what happened, so that I can be prepared." After knowing that Ning Cheng had killed a person from the Shui clan, Lu Xian also became cautious. In case the Shui clan came looking for trouble, he would not be passive. Ning Cheng did not conceal anything, and completely told him about Ji Luofei's matter. After Lu Xian listened to Ning Cheng's words, he felt relieved and said, "Since your side is in the right, then during the tournament, the Shui clan will not come. After the tournament, we will have to return to the God Wind Academy, and the Shui clan will also not come. But you and Luofei will have to be careful when you go out. The Shui clan will not be so easy to talk to." "I understand, Deacon Lu can rest assured, I am not a person who is easy to talk to." Ning Cheng showed a faint smile. At the entrance of the Tsangqin Academy, when he was facing Gu Yiming, whose cultivation level was much higher than his, he dared to slap Gu Fei. Now that his cultivation level had risen by countless times, how could his courage become smaller? Lu Xian silently shook his head and said, "I knew that you are not a person who is easy to talk to." A person who was easy to talk to, absolutely would not be able to obtain the first place in the preliminary round, and in the process of choosing a 5-star academy, he even borrowed a few knives to kill people. The sound tablet on the Moz Grand Plaza suddenly sounded out. "The first round of the Hua Continent's 5-star academy tournament is about to begin. Each of the 5-star academies, please send 2 representatives to the main altar in the center of the plaza, and all the cultivators who are watching the match, please stand outside the competition area, and quietly wait for the results of the match. If anyone obstructs the competition, they will be killed." In the middle of the plaza, there was an incomparably huge main altar, and in the middle of the main altar sat a man. When Ning Cheng's gaze fell on this man, he immediately felt an inexplicable majesty. He did not even dare to continue to look at this man, not to mention trying to estimate the other party's cultivation level. Nevertheless, Ning Cheng was sure that this man's cultivation level was not as high as that of the white-haired old woman. He guessed that this man should have come from an intermediate-class continent to preside over the selection of the 6-star academies. On both sides of the majestic man's seat, there were 3 people sitting on each side. Looking at the table in front of the 6 people, it should be the judges of the tournament. Below these 7 people, were the placards of the 5 5-star academies. Each of the 5-star academies had 2 representatives sitting on them. The God Wind 5-star academy had 2 representatives. In addition to Deacon Lu Xian, there was also a woman with the cultivation of essence building realm. In front of the main altar was an incomparably huge square platform. Ning Cheng looked at the surroundings of the square platform, and immediately knew that there were many restrictions. As for the rest of the cultivators who were watching the tournament of the 5-star academies, they could only stand on the periphery of the square platform and the main altar. In addition to that, all the people could see that there were 4 huge array formation projection screens. According to the convention, everyone understood that these 4 array formation projection screens should display the results of the first 3 rounds of the tournament and the final ranking of the 5 5-star academies. The voice of the sound tablet once again sounded out. "I invite the 25 participants to enter the square platform, and sit in any of the seats, and prepare for the first round of the tournament." It was not until this time, that all the people in the plaza knew, that the first round of the memory competition, would be carried out in full view of the public. As the voice of the sound tablet resounded out, the square platform suddenly had 25 seats, and each seat had a small table in front of it. Just like in the 5th written exam that Ning Cheng had participated in before, the 25 tables had 2 pieces of white paper and a pen. Chapter 109. After Ning Cheng handed over the spear to Ji Luofei, he followed the other 4 people from the God Wind Academy to the square platform in front of the main altar. In addition to him and Meng Jingxiu from the God Wind Academy, there were also 3 other people. Gu Hong had a tall stature, and was incomparably robust, with the cultivation of true condensation 8th level. Chu Yong Xian was the person with the highest cultivation in the God Wind Academy, true condensation 9th level. Min Rui looked the thinnest of the 5, and his cultivation level was only at true condensation 7th level. He did not know why he was placed among the 5 people. Ning Cheng guessed that the God Wind Academy really did not have any outstanding talents. What made Ning Cheng surprised, was that out of the 5 people from the Falling Star Academy, he unexpectedly knew 3 of them. Meng Yujing was the woman that Ning Cheng was looking for, and had the cultivation of true condensation 7th level. At this moment, there was no veil on her face, revealing an extremely beautiful face. No wonder she was known as the most beautiful girl in the Falling Star Academy. Ning Cheng estimated that even in the entire Moze city, there was no one more beautiful than her. Following closely behind Meng Yujing was a young girl. This young girl was also staring at Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng nodded to her, but the girl frowned and turned her head away. Ning Cheng did not think that the Falling Star Academy would send Yu Ying to the stage for the first round of the tournament. Yu Ying's cultivation level was only at the Qi Gathering 6th level, as such she could only participate in the first or second round of the tournament. But thinking that Yu Ying was at the Qi Gathering 6th level, Ning Cheng's heart jumped. Wasn't this speed too fast? When he had first met Yu Ying had not yet started cultivating, yet in a blink of an eye she had already reached the Qi Gathering 6th level. One had to know that he was only able to reach the cultivation of true condensation 3rd level because of a variety of fortuitous encounters. When Yu Ying came to the Falling Star Academy, she already had such a powerful explosive force, it was truly terrifying. Moreover, as this young girl's cultivation grew higher and higher, it revealed that her stunning appearance was not inferior to Meng Yujing's. The 3rd person from the Falling Star Academy that Ning Cheng recognized, turned out to be Shui Yu, who had jumped down from the restaurant wearing a white robe. This Shui Yu only had the cultivation of true condensation 7th level, moreover it seemed that he had just advanced to this level not too long ago. He was a member of the Shui clan. How could he represent the Falling Star Academy in the tournament? When Ning Cheng looked at Shui Yu also glanced at Ning Cheng, and a murderous intent flashed through his eyes. Apparently, he already knew who Ning Cheng was. As for the rest of the people, other than Leng Yiyang, Ning Cheng did not know any of them. Moreover, he also did not have any interest in getting to know them. He knew that since he was chosen to participate in the fight between the 5-star academies on this square platform, then there must be something extraordinary about it. Ning Cheng casually found a seat and sat down, but immediately found that his spiritual sense was completely imprisoned. Just like before, he couldn't use his spiritual will. The dignified man sitting in the middle of the main altar stood up. At the same time, he flew and landed on the square platform where the 25 examinees were seated. He glanced at the 25 candidates sitting on the square platform, and said in a slow voice, "Those who are able to sit on the platform for the first round of the written exam, should be the elites of the Hua continent. The first round of the competition only lasts for the time it takes to burn an incense stick." Ning Cheng had thought that since this was the tournament between the 5-star academies, the first round of the tournament would definitely be very long, at least it would be longer than the 5th round that he had participated in. Who would have thought that it would only take an incense stick's time? This was too short. An incense stick's time was equivalent to 30 minutes here. If he had to look at the questions in half an hour, how could he proceed with the written test? Not only Ning Cheng, but the rest of the examinees were also puzzled as they looked at the dignified man who was presiding over the first round of the tournament. They did not understand why the time was so short. The man simply did not care about the reactions of the 25 people on the platform, and directly took out an ancient leather scroll and said, "The content of the first round of the examination is on this leather scroll in my hands. In a moment I will personally open this leather scroll. You will have the time it takes for an incense stick to burn to look at the questions, and then after the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, you have to answer the questions." Was it that simple? Ning Cheng could not believe it. The leather scroll in the man's hands, even if it was opened, it would at most be 3 feet long and a foot wide. To ensure that they could clearly read the words written on it, the handwriting would certainly not be too small. How much content would it contain? All the people suddenly came to understand. No wonder it only took the time it took for an incense stick to burn. It seems that the first round of the tournament was just a mere formality. At this time the man had already opened the leather scroll. A trace of vicissitudes of life washed over them. The 25 people on the platform immediately stared at the leather scroll in the man's hands. The words written on the leather scroll were not very big, but they were also not very small. Everyone here were cultivators, so they could still clearly see the words written on the leather scroll. Ning Cheng estimated that the number of words written on the leather scroll was at most a few thousand. It was not a challenge for him at all. But the next moment Ning Cheng felt that something was wrong. The words written on the leather scroll did not have any connection to each other. It simply could not form any sentence or meaning. The difference between each word was like heaven and earth. It was like a bull's head and a horse's mouth were connected together. Ning Cheng reacted quickly. Almost at the same time he reacted, this leather scroll did not seem to be simple at all. He did not dare to have any other thoughts, and directly concentrated his mind on memorizing the contents of the leather scroll. Ning Cheng's formidable memory ability was undoubtedly highlighted at this time. His thoughts turned in the first second, and in the last 2 seconds, he had already completely memorized the contents of the leather scroll. Just as Ning Cheng breathed a sigh of relief, he suddenly discovered that the content of the leather scroll was completely different from before. He subconsciously opened his eyes wide. This time he could clearly see that it was indeed different from before. Moreover, there was not even a single word that was the same. Sure enough, it was not simple. Ning Cheng did not dare to let his imagination run wild, and once again concentrated his mind on memorizing the contents of the second scroll. After a few seconds, the content of the second scroll disappeared, and was replaced by a third scroll with a completely different content. It was the same content composed of some completely unrelated words, without any connection at all. Ning Cheng already knew that it was not simple. As such, the changes in the contents of the leather scroll were not strange at all. His mind was completely immersed in the contents of the leather scroll. Later on, he even forgot that he was still participating in the first round of the tournament. He seemed to be able to see a picture in the different content, and even saw a note in the picture. Good, the questions will end here. An abrupt voice interrupted the various pictures in Ning Cheng's mind. Ning Cheng subconsciously quivered. He knew that the time it took for an incense stick to burn had already arrived. The one who spoke was the dignified-looking man, and he had already put away the leather scroll in his hands. Ning Cheng's heart was in a state of turmoil. In his mind there were hundreds of different grand pictures. There were also the contents of the hundreds of leather scrolls. Although these contents seemed different, but they actually hid such a profound mystery within them. Thinking back to the vicissitudes of life that this leather scroll was exuding, Ning Cheng was sure that the contents of this leather scroll was either a very extraordinary cultivation method, or a magical technique. He even had a kind of intuition, that once these pictures were completely mixed together, it would definitely reveal a great secret. At this time, Ning Cheng finally understood why this person wanted to show them this leather scroll. This leather scroll only had one side, and only by looking at it with one's own eyes, would one be able to understand the mystery within it. This intermediate class continent was really broad-minded. They even took out this kind of awesome thing as an exam question, so that the examinees could benefit from it. Ning Cheng suddenly felt that something was wrong. this first round of the tournament had countless kinds of questions. Why would they take out this kind of leather scroll? At this time, Ning Cheng heard the nearby examinees talking. Do you feel that the content of this leather scroll is changing? It can't be. I only saw one side of the content, although it was very difficult, but in the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, I was able to remember a lot of it. There are changes, moreover there are 3 kinds of changes. I did not remember all of them. What made Ning Cheng surprised was that the dignified-looking old man did not forbid the discussion below, and waited for the people below to discuss for a while, before he said, "Good, now start answering the questions." Ning Cheng picked up the pen and paper on the table, and first wrote down his name and the 5-star academy. Only then did he discover that there were already 10 questions on the white paper. The first question, is there any change in the content of the leather scroll? If there are any changes, how many changes are there? Ning Cheng frowned. In his mind there were still various kinds of images rolling around. Moreover, he was sure that once he completely understood these things, it would definitely be a very amazing thing. He had already reacted. He did not believe that the people of the intermediate class continent would be so noble, and would be able to share such a good thing. Before he had also heard the people beside him talking about it. Some of them could see several changes, while some of them could not see any changes at all. But he was able to see a total of 600 to 700 changes. Moreover, these changes were constantly derived from his understanding. Can these things even be written down? Maybe the person who took out this leather scroll did not know that there were so many changes. Ning Cheng thought until here, a flame suddenly flashed in his mind, and he suddenly understood. He had always believed that in this world, there was absolutely no such thing as a meat pie falling down from the sky, so the person who took out the leather scroll certainly did not know that there were so many changes. This person took out the leather scroll, and then summoned all the cultivators of the Hua continent who had a strong memory to take the exam, in order to see if anyone could see the changes. This person should have known that this leather scroll was extraordinary, but he himself was not able to crack it. As long as someone was able to crack the changes in this leather scroll, then maybe they would immediately be taken away, and then specifically used to study this leather scroll. Otherwise, why would the 5-star academies need to test this kind of insignificant topic? Thinking until here, Ning Cheng did not hesitate to write that there were no changes. Even if he failed in the first round, there were still the next 2 rounds. Then Ning Cheng saw that the second question was, whether there were any changes or not. Write down the 567th word on the first page. This question was not difficult for Ning Cheng. He immediately wrote down the 567th word on the first page. But the following questions from the 3rd to the 10th question, Ning Cheng was dumbfounded. The 3rd question was, if there were any changes, please write down the number of words of the second change. The 4th question was, write down the number of words of the 3rd change. The following questions continued until the 10th question. Ning Cheng sighed, and simply put down the pen. He knew how to answer these questions. He even thought that he could see the changes in the content, but the person who came up with the questions did not know about it. But he did not dare to do the first one, and he did not want to do the second one. This kind of heaven and earth treasure was memorized by him. The thing that he wanted to do the most, was to find a quiet place to go into seclusion, and then quietly meditate. After Ning Cheng thought about it, he felt that the reason why he was able to perceive so many changes, was because of the mysterious yellow origin. If he did not have the mysterious yellow origin, then at most he would just be an ordinary person with a strong memory. Mysterious yellow origin. Ning Cheng vaguely felt that he had once again grasped something. Why did the mysterious yellow origin help him see so many changes? The time it takes for an incense stick to burn is up. The man who presided over the tournament once again interrupted Ning Cheng's contemplation. While simultaneously waving his hand, the 25 answer sheets fell into his hands. Everyone knew that the dignified man who presided over the tournament was going to personally mark the papers. Ning Cheng really wanted to know the expression of this man after he finished looking at the 25 answer sheets, but he knew that staring at the other party at this time, was absolutely not wise. Sure enough, after the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn, the man put away the 25 answer sheets, while simultaneously playing several array flags. A moment later, the rankings of the first round of the tournament were displayed on the first array formation projection screen. Chapter 110. Ning Qing knew that he had the mysterious yellow origin, so he was able to perceive the hundreds of changes on the parchment. So for the rest of the people, they could not perceive the changes, or could only perceive 2 or 3 changes. Ning Qing did not find it strange. But when he saw the first name on the huge array formation screen, he was immediately shocked in his heart. The first name unexpectedly had 95 points. Ning Qing could even guess that the question that was not completely answered should be the first question. That is to say, except for the question that was not completely answered, the first name unexpectedly answered all the other questions correctly. As for the mistake in the first question, it was estimated that there was a mistake in saying how many changes there were. But what Ning Qing did not expect was that he knew the first name. It was Yuing from the Falling Star 5-Star Academy. This little girl with the worst cultivation on the stage, unexpectedly got 95 points, and was unquestionably the first. The second name was Leng Yi Yang from the Luohua Academy with 65 points, which was far from the first name. But for him to get the second name, it was not a shame. The third name was Ling Naixin from the Thunder Academy with 55 points, which reflected her results in the preliminary round. The fourth name was unexpectedly Situ Yu from the Clear Sky Academy with 45 points. It stood to reason that Gong Jun from the Clear Sky Academy should have been the one to score in the first round, but the result was that his score was only 15 points. The real surprise was Ning Qing from the God Wind Academy. Ning Qing obtained 100 points in the first round. But in the first round of the 5-Star Academies, he unexpectedly only obtained 10 points. Instead it was Meng Jing Xiu who represented the God Wind Academy who obtained 25 points. When the rankings came out, whether it was the representatives of the 5-Star Academies, or the onlookers, all of them were in an uproar. The God Wind Academy's most favored Ning Xiaocheng unexpectedly only obtained 10 points. This score was really shameful. Fortunately, Ning Cheng's score was not the lowest. There were even people who only obtained 5 points. That Ning Xiaocheng is not worthy of his name. He unexpectedly only obtained 10 points. This time the God Wind Academy really suffered a big loss. He must have seen the questions in the preliminary round before, otherwise he would not have been able to obtain 100 points. Luck can only happen once. How can someone be so lucky every time? After all, they are selected by the small academies. Don't you think that Gong Jun, who represents the Clear Sky Academy, is different? Previously, he scored 76 points in the preliminary exam, but in the end, he only scored 15 points in the actual competition. That's true, plus that Yuan Liang from the Falling Star Academy also did not have a good result. In this first round of the competition, only Leng Yi Yang and Ling Naixin had good results in the preliminary round. The rest of the people were all screwed up. Who are Leng Yi Yang and Ling Naixin? He had a pure spiritual root, and was a core disciple of a 5-Star Academy. The difference between those rogue cultivators and those with pure spiritual roots is obvious. After the results of the first round of the competition came out, the spectators were discussing it. The Clear Sky Academy was better off. After all, Situyu still stood up. But the God Wind Academy suffered a Waterloo. The highest score was only Meng Jing Xiu who got 25 points. On the main altar, Lu Xian also had a disappointed look on his face. He had never thought that Ning Cheng, whom he had gone through untold hardships to find, would not be able to bring him the results he deserved. Luohua Academy's Qing Xian suddenly smiled and spoke to Lu Xian, "Elder brother Lu, it seems that only true fire can be used to refine true gold." The God Wind Academy this time, alas, everyone knew that Qing Xian was ridiculing Lu Xian for snatching Ning City. Not to mention that they had to pay a lot of resources, but now they also had to bear the consequences. Fortunately, he did not know that Ning Cheng and the Shui clan had fallen out, and brought another enemy to the God Wind Academy. Hey, elder brother Lu has great foresight, let that Ning Xiaoqing go up, maybe in the third round of the competition he would be able to determine the heaven and earth. After all, fighting is the most important point. The profound congealing elder from the Falling Star Academy ridiculed in a very proud tone. He had a reason to be proud. After the first round of the competition, the Falling Star Academy was ranked first with a total of 170 points. The Luohua Academy was ranked second with 120 points, the Thunder Academy was ranked third with 108 points, and the Clear Sky Academy was ranked fourth with 105 points. But the God Wind Academy, who was favored to shorten their score in the first round, not only did they not shorten their score, but the gap between them was even wider. With only 66 points, they were ranked at the bottom. Lu Xian was not in a good mood. Now that he was ridiculed one after another, his face turned livid with anger. Even so, he did not have any way to refute it. Ji Luo Fei, who was standing at the God Wind Academy's station, bit her lips. She simply did not care about the ridiculing eyes of the rest of the God Wind Academy's disciples. She was worried about Ning Cheng. She believed that there was definitely a reason why Ning Cheng was able to obtain a score of 10 points in the first round, but unfortunately, she could not go up and ask Ning Cheng. Luo Fei. A slightly hoarse voice sounded out from beside Ji Luo Fei. Auntie. Ji Luo Fei turned around and saw Ji Yao He, and subconsciously called out. Then she saw the two women standing behind Ji Yao He, looking at their robes. They should be the new students of the Falling Star Academy. Luo Fei, hurry up and come with me to the Shui clan, and then agree to the marriage with Shui Yu. Ji Yao He's words had not yet finished, when she was interrupted by Ji Luo Fei. Auntie, if you continue to speak such words in the future, then we will no longer have any relationship. Luo Fei, what are you talking about? Who told you to speak to your auntie like that? Ning Cheng killed Shui Feng Gan of the Shui clan. It is simply a dead end for him. He would not even be able to pass the third round of the competition, yet you are still so stubborn. Do you want to die? Ji Yao He's complexion changed. Ji Luo Fei plainly said, if you are my auntie, then do not let me, a fiancé, remarry. If you continue to speak such words, then we are no longer relatives. Ji Yao He's complexion turned pale. She knew that her niece had a strong temperament, but she did not think that she would be so unreasonable. Fortunately, she knew that this was the God Wind encampment. Even if she was angry, she still forced herself to calm down. Luo Fei, do you know what kind of person Ning Cheng is? You see, he only scored 10 points in the first round. This is his real level. Before in the preliminary round, it was because he got the answer. Of course, this is not important. The important thing is, Ning Cheng is simply an extremely dissolute person. When he was in the Clear Heart Academy, he openly slept together with the Clear Heart Academy's Su Zhu. What kind of person Su Zhu is, Lu Shui and Yong Guyun behind me are very clear about it. If you do not believe me, you can ask the two of them. He is simply a man who can marry anyone. Ji Luo Fei, who had been enduring until now, finally could not bear it anymore. She suddenly shouted, Ji Yao He, why do you want to go against Ning Cheng? I want to be together with him. One by one you come here to slander him. In the end, what is the meaning of this? You leave. I never want to see you again. Me and Ning Cheng, it is our own affair. It has nothing to do with other people. Thinking of how many years she had spent alone, she had finally found her aunt and mother, but her aunt and mother had come here one by one to deceive her, and wanted her to leave Ning Cheng. Ji Luo Fei's heart was filled with endless pain. Her aunt Ji Yao He once again came here and spoke those words. It made Ji Luo Fei's anger and the sadness that she had accumulated for the past few days to reach a critical point. She finally could not help but burst out. Hearing Luo Fei directly call her Ji Yao He pointed at Ji Luo Fei with her hand trembling. In the end, this Ji Luo Fei, what kind of devil was this? Why was she so irrational? Although Ning Cheng's results in the first round of the tournament were not good, but Ning Cheng and Ji Luo Fei were still students of the God Wind Academy. An essence-building cultivator from the God Wind Academy came over and said to Ji Yao He, the few of you, please do not make trouble in my God Wind Academy encampment. Ji Yao he suppressed her anger, and angrily left with Lu Shui and Yong Gu Yun. She decided to ignore Ji Luofei. Her final ending was her own fault, no one could blame her. Standing on the square platform, the dignified man presiding over the tournament waited for the results of the first round of the tournament to come out, and then once again spoke. Now we will proceed to the second round of the tournament. The 25 participants, now write down your understanding of the contents of the leather scroll that you saw in the first round of the tournament. Or write down your understanding of the contents of the leather scroll, the time it takes to burn an incense stick. Ning Cheng's heart was getting clearer. It really was like this. The first 2 rounds of the exam were absolutely to see if there was anyone who could really understand and comprehend the contents of the leather scroll. Once there was such a person, then perhaps they would immediately be taken away. Regardless of whether the outcome of being taken away was good or bad, Ning Cheng did not want to be the one to stand out. He still had a lot of things to do. How could he be taken away like this? All the people began to write down their own understanding of the contents of the leather scroll. Ning Cheng was also writing. He just wrote that the contents of the leather scroll had nothing to do with it, and then did not write anything else. Then he began to continue to feel the images that he had seen through the contents of the leather scroll. The feeling was getting more and more clear. This time Ning Cheng did not wait for the other party to interrupt him. Before the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, he took the initiative to stop his own understanding of the contents of the leather scroll. The second round of the tournament was even more rushed than the first round. After the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, Ning Cheng and the other 25 participants came down from the square platform, while at the same time the results of the second round came out. In the second round of the tournament, Ning Cheng's score was even lower. It was only a pitiful 1 point. In other words, he had obtained 11 points in the first 2 rounds. The highest score in the second round of the tournament was still Yu Ying. She had obtained 51 points. This time Ning Cheng specifically paid attention to this girl called Yu Ying. He knew that if it was really about the comprehension of the second round, then Yu Ying might not even be able to get 5 points. He guessed that the man who was presiding over the tournament had deliberately raised the score. But even if that was the case, Yu Ying was definitely not ordinary. Unfortunately, this Yu Ying was not as experienced as him. Maybe she would be caught and used as a laborer. The third round is the Great Duel Tournament. The tournament will now begin. When the scores of the second round appeared on the array projection screen, the man who was presiding over the tournament also announced the start of the third round of the tournament. Saying that, as if there was nothing else for him to do, he took a step back to his seat, then closed his eyes, and no longer spoke. Chapter 111. After the results of the second round came out, the Falling Star Academy was ranked first with 221 points, while the Luohua Academy was ranked second with 155 points. The Thunder Academy was ranked third with 138 points, the Clear Sky Academy was ranked fourth with 130 points, while the God Wind Academy was far behind with 76 points. The dignified man who presided over the first and second rounds announced the start of the third round, and no longer spoke. At this time an old man who was sitting below him walked to the front of the main altar, and spoke in a clear voice. The third round is the competition of the strength of the 5 academies. This is also the best place to measure the strength of each academy. So the third round is also the one with the most points, with a total of 250 points. As for how many points each academy can get, it all depends on their own ability. When Ning Cheng heard this, he thought to himself, sure enough, the first 2 rounds of the tournament were definitely not the deciding factor. Perhaps the first 2 rounds were deliberately added by the person who could not solve the leather scroll, so the time was short and the score was low. The real deciding factor for which academy would become a 6-star academy, was the 5th round of the tournament. Ning Cheng. Ji Luofei was a little worried as she greeted him. Her aunt had only made her sad for a while. Her whole mind was focused on Ning Cheng. Lu Xian also came over from the main altar, and patted Ning Cheng's shoulder and said, "You do not have to worry about it. even if you scored 100 points, our score in the third round is still not optimistic. In the third round, you can take a break, and look at the performance of the other senior apprentice brothers, while at the same time learning some actual combat experience. Lu Xian's words made Ning Cheng have a good impression of him. It was reasonable to say that he was a core disciple of the God Wind Academy. Mainly for the first 2 rounds of the tournament, but the fact was that he scored a total of 11 points in the first 2 rounds. Moreover, because this score was too low, it was not taken into account. After comforting Ning Cheng, Lu Xian went to the 3 late-stage true condensation senior apprentice brothers who were going to score in the third round. Although your performance was within my expectations, but you scored 11 points in the first 2 rounds, I am still a little disappointed. Originally I thought that since you wanted to take my spot, then you would definitely score for the God Wind Academy. In fact, I really did not misread you. Meng Jingxiu came over, and looked at Ning Cheng with some disdain as she spoke. Ning Cheng knew that the other party was because he had almost taken away her spot in the tournament. If not for Lu Xian speaking to her, then Meng Jingxiu's hatred towards him would have been even greater. Ning Cheng simply did not take Meng Jingxiu seriously, as he lazily spoke, "You don't seem to be much higher than me." "I am not much higher than you, but in the first 2 rounds of the God Wind Academy's 35 points were all obtained by me alone. What's more, my main point is not in the first 2 rounds, as such you would not understand." Meng Jingxiu shook her head towards Ning Cheng, as she spoke with a hint of pride in her tone. Saying that, she turned around and walked away, not intending to wait for Ning Cheng to answer. But Ning Cheng, who was standing behind her, gave a smile and said, "Why do you think the same as me? Did you know that I would also get points in the third round?" When Meng Jingxiu heard Ning Cheng's words, her eyes revealed a trace of ridicule, but she was simply too lazy to answer. At this moment, the old man presiding over the third round spoke again. "Now, let me explain the rules of the third round. The third round is not limited to opponents, nor is it limited to the number of battles. Even 2 participants from the same academy can fight." This explanation was something that even Ning Cheng could not understand. Since it was a competition between the academies, then of course it would be a fight between the contestants from the other academies. How could it be a fight between people from the same academy? The audience below were also in an uproar. It was obvious that they did not understand why this rule was set. When the old man saw that everyone was in an uproar, he immediately used his hand to calm them down, and at the same time raised his voice and said, "Quiet down, let me continue to explain the rules." The old man came from an intermediate class continent, so his words still carried a lot of weight. After his words came out, the audience immediately quieted down. The old man presiding over the competition continued to speak in a clear voice. "Before the third round of the tournament, each of the 25 contestants will carry 10 points, adding up to a total of 250 points, that is to say, each academy will have a total of 50 points. The 2 people who come on stage to fight must carry points. The points of the loser will be added to the winner. For example, if Zhang San and Li Si come on stage to fight, both of them will carry 10 points. If Zhang San wins, then Zhang San's points will become 20 points, while Li Si will not have any points. People who do not have points are not allowed to come on stage. If Wang Wu carries 10 points and challenges Zhang San, and Zhang San loses, then all the points on Zhang San's body will become Wang Wu's. Wang Wu would then have 30 points, while Zhang San would not have any points." The old man's explanation was very clear, and all the people understood. This really was the most direct way to grab points, and was also the most intuitive method. But in this way, wouldn't it mean that the person with the highest cultivation would end up with all 250 points? But thinking that there was only one 6-star academy, this did not seem to be contradictory. The old man continued, "If one of the 2 people from the academy has a slightly lower cultivation, and does not want to participate in the tournament, then they can give their points to the person from the same academy who has a higher cultivation level. The person who took out the points is not allowed to continue to come on stage to challenge others, and the others are also not allowed to challenge those who do not have points. In addition, each person has 3 chances to challenge, and each person can only be challenged 3 times. Remember, if it is a challenge between the same academy, no matter how many times you are challenged, it will only count as 1 challenge. These are the rules of the tournament. If anyone has any questions, then you can ask them. Excuse me, if a disciple from your academy loses, but after stepping down from the stage, another disciple gives his points to him, can he still continue to come on stage to challenge? The one who asked this question was the God Wind Academy's Lu Xian. The others knew the meaning behind Lu Xian's words. The God Wind Academy had very few experts in the tournament. He was afraid that if the most powerful disciple lost, then he would not have the opportunity to rebound. No. This time the old man's answer was extremely simple. Excuse me, if in the case of a mistake in the tournament, and you kill your opponent, then what? The one who asked this question was unexpectedly Shui Yu from the Shui clan. When Ning Qing heard Shui Yu's words, he immediately knew that this guy was looking at him with a killing intent in his eyes, and wanted to kill him first. The old man coldly looked at Shui Yu, and said with an expressionless face, if you are afraid of death, then give your points to the people from your academy as soon as possible. After the old man finished speaking, he waited for a moment, and then spoke in a loud and clear voice, the 3rd round of the tournament will now begin. The people who come on stage must first inform their opponents of the points that they have brought with them. The old man who was presiding over the 3rd round of the tournament had already retired, and the square platform in the middle of the square was also surrounded by a strong restriction, but no one came on stage. It seemed that no one wanted to be the first bird to stand out. The people in the square were also not anxious. Everyone knew that this was just the calm before the battle. Once the fight started, it would not be calm for even half a moment. The people on the main altar were also not anxious. It seemed that they knew that there would always be someone who would eat the crab first. At this time on the huge 3rd array formation projection screen, 25 people's names appeared. Each person's name was marked with 10 points. Although the 25 people appeared on the array formation projection screen, but everyone was very clear, that under these rules, only those 10 people would be able to come on stage, and not all of them would be able to come on stage. Ning Qing, give your points to me. Your cultivation is too low. If you keep it in your hands, then it would be taken away by someone else. Meng Jingxiu had thought that she would never speak to Ning Qing again, but when she heard the rules of the tournament, she immediately came to Ning Qing's side. Who do you think you are? Why should I give it to you? If Meng Jingxiu had thought that he had snatched her spot, and she had some opinions about him, then Ning Qing could still understand it. But now she thought that she was amazing, and came to take his points as a matter of course. Ning Qing immediately became unhappy in his heart. Then I will challenge you. Meng Jingxiu saw that Ning Qing was just a trivial early-stage true condensation cultivator, and even dared to hold on to his 10 points, and immediately became unhappy in her heart. In her view, the points that Ning Qing had in his hands were not given to the disciples of his academy, and were definitely given to others. Fuck off. Ning Qing could not bear it any longer. In his heart he was thinking that this woman was sick. If she wanted to challenge, then the other academies also had 20 spots, and you could freely challenge them. But she just had to stare at the 10 points in his hands. Did she think that he was easy to bully? Meng Jingxiu raised her eyebrows, but before she could get angry, Lu Xian had already walked over and said, the tournament is about to start. What are you still quarreling about? Ning Qing said to Lu Xian, Deacon Lu, Meng Jingxiu actually wants to challenge me. Does she have a problem with her brain? Meng Jingxiu was just about to explain that Ning Qing taking the points was a waste, when she saw Lu Xian frown and speak. Meng Jingxiu, our God Wind Academy is also a 5-star academy. Don't do or say such ridiculing words in the future. Prepare yourself, you will have to participate in the tournament. Yes. Meng Jingxiu did not dare to be rude to Deacon Lu, and replied in a respectful voice, before she turned around and left. This time she was too lazy to even look at Ning Qing. Deacon Lu, did you also come to ask me for the points? Ning Cheng's tone was calm. If Lu Xian also came to ask for the points, then he would immediately give them to Lu Xian, and then take Ji Luo Fei away from here. In this tournament, he had already obtained enough benefits. The hundreds of changes in the ancient scroll had given him a lot of benefits. For Lu Xian to ask him for the points, it was already not showing any respect to him. Even if he had to take out the points, he would have to take them himself. Lu Xian gave a wry smile and shook his head and said, "No, you just have to pay attention to your own safety on the stage. I can see that Shui Yu's eyes are filled with killing intent, you have to be careful of him. My God Wind Academy is already doomed to be at the bottom, why would I want your 10 points? If you are not sure, then you can give your points to Chu Yong Xian, he is the first person in my God Wind Academy's true condensation realm. Many thanks Deacon Lu, but I still want to try it myself." Ning Qing felt that this Lu Xian was also a person with a temperament, and was very much in line with his temperament. God Wind Academy's Meng Jingxiu has brought her 10 points to the stage to challenge, no matter who it is, I will accept it. Meng Jingxiu had already stepped onto the square platform, when Ning Cheng who was talking to Lu Xian saw her. When Lu Xian saw that Meng Jingxiu was the first to step onto the stage to challenge, he shook his head, sighed and turned away. No one had thought that the first person to challenge would unexpectedly be God Wind Academy's Meng Jingxiu. In terms of cultivation, Meng Jingxiu was only at true condensation 6th level. Among the 5 5-star academies that were here to prepare their disciples for the 3rd round of the tournament, even the worst among them was at least at the late stages of true condensation, but a true condensation 6th level cultivator actually wanted to come onto the stage to challenge. The audience in the square were all talking about it, they all wanted to know which academy would Meng Jingxiu from the God Wind Academy send her points to. Chapter 112. Meng Jingxiu's declaration of challenge had just come out, when 2 figures rushed towards the platform. However, the people from Luohua Academy were clearly a bit closer, and they rushed onto the square platform first. When the other person saw that the people from Luohua Academy had already gone up, he could only turn around resentfully. "I am Zhu Junjie from Luohua Academy, carrying 10 points. Miss Meng, you're no match for me. Since you're a woman, as long as you admit defeat." Zhu Junjie's words were not even finished, when Meng Jingxiu brought out her magical weapon. A fiery red halberd shadow instantly sealed off all of Zhu Junjie's escape routes. After the fiery red halberd shadow pierced out, the restrictions on the edge of the square battle stage began to shake. Such a powerful true essence, Ning Cheng could see with a glance that this Meng Jingxiu was a lot stronger than Zhu Junjie. Zhu Junjie's cultivation level was already at true condensation 8th level, but the strength of a cultivator, sometimes could not be explained by just having a high cultivation level. Ning Cheng had a deep understanding of this. Before and after the transformation of his meridians by the mysterious yellow origin, the strength of his true condensation 1st level cultivation was like the difference between heaven and earth. Seeing Meng Jingxiu's halberd shadow, Ning Cheng's previous unhappiness towards this woman actually faded a lot. There were not many women who used halberd-type artifacts, but Meng Jingxiu's halberd was already more than 30 feet long, it was simply like a fierce general on the battlefield. It could be seen that this woman had always been such a straightforward person. She did not know how to speak, and it was easy for her to offend people. Ning Cheng was using a broken spear, because he did not have a large storage bag, as such he could only carry the broken spear on his back. So when he saw Meng Jingxiu display her halberd, he felt a kind of hypocritical feeling. Zhu Junjie completely did not think that Meng Jingxiu would make a move without even saying a word, as he panicked and brought out his own round shield-type artifact. Kacha. The round shield magical weapon had not yet been completely brought out, when it was blasted away by Meng Jingxiu's halberd shadow. Zhu Junjie was also hit by the powerful true essence and was sent flying a dozen meters away. Blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. If it wasn't for the fact that the square stage was huge, he might have been blasted to the edge of the barrier. You sneak attacked me. Zhu Junjie said angrily. Meng Jingxiu sneered, to deal with you, do I even need to sneak attack? Angry, river, tide, rising. Along with Meng Jingxiu's clear shout, the inexhaustible halberd shadows suddenly formed into a wave, hiding the sky and covering the earth as they rushed towards Zhu Junjie. An incomparably vast killing intent and powerful quintessential essence surged out from these waves. Some of the nearby spectators could feel a chill run down their spines. This halberd technique was too terrifying. All the people who saw this move understood that if Meng Jingxiu had used this sneak attack, then it would have been a real sneak attack. Zhu Junjie would not even have the opportunity to bring out his round shield. When Zhu Junjie saw this move, his face turned pale. At this moment, he did not dare to think of anything else. He raised his hands and a pair of Zhenwu golden tiger hooks appeared. Zhu Junjie had already felt that Meng Jingxiu's true essence was much more formidable than his own, so when he brought out the true martial golden tiger hook, he immediately began to crazily revolve his true essence. If possible, he was even willing to burn his true essence. It was the first time that he had encountered such a powerful female cultivator with the cultivation of true condensation 6th level. Zhu Junjie was at true condensation 8th level, and was selected to represent the Luohu Academy in the 3rd round of the tournament. It was obvious that he was not a person with an undeserved reputation. After he brought out the Zhenwu golden tiger hook with all his strength, it also formed a golden hook line after another. But the people with a higher cultivation could see that although Zhu Junjie's golden hook lines were formed one after another, but compared to Meng Jingxiu's halberd shadows that were like a stormy sea, it lacked a kind of imposing manner and a clear level. Boom boom boom. Just like a huge wave crashing against a reef, a powerful impact sound rang out continuously, as the quintessential essence surged out from the platform, causing the restriction around the platform to tremble. Catcha. The golden hook lines formed by Zhu Junjie finally broke apart completely, as the several halberd shadows that were not blocked by the Zhenwu golden tiger hook bombarded Zhu Junjie's body. Zhu Junjie was once again sent flying, while at the same time more than a dozen blood stains sprayed out from his body. Plop! Zhu Junjie fell on the edge of the platform, not waiting for Meng Jingxiu to come forward again. He took the initiative to call out, "I admit defeat." At this time Zhu Junjie's entire body was stained with blood. His body was riddled with scars. If he continued to fight, then his life would definitely be in danger. Trembling, he stood up and walked down the platform. For Zhu Junjie, at this time, the most terrible thing was not the injuries on his body, but the fact that he actually admitted defeat after only 2 exchanges. Under so many pairs of eyes, he had not even met 2 exchanges, and had already lost to a woman with a lower cultivation than him. How would he be able to raise his head in the future? On the 3rd huge array formation projection screen, out of the 25 names, Zhu Junjie's name had already disappeared. At the same time, Meng Jingxiu's score also changed from 10 points to 20 points. The Grand Plaza was silent for a good while, before it erupted with a huge cheer. This kind of unexpected result of the match was the most popular. Lu Xian was pleasantly surprised as he muttered to himself, "I really did not expect that Meng Jingxiu would actually win. Does our God-Wind Academy still have a chance?" Meng Jingxiu calmly walked down from the platform. It was obvious that the anger that she received from Ning Qing a moment ago had already been vented out. She did not mention any names when she came on stage. It was not a challenge or a challenge. Ji Luofei whispered in Ning Cheng's ear, "This woman is very powerful. If she wants to challenge you, you have to be careful." Ning Cheng nodded in agreement with Ji Luofei's words. This Meng Jingxiu's moves were indeed very powerful. But to say that she could challenge him, Ning Cheng thought that Ji Luofei was overestimating her. Even if Meng Jingxiu wanted to challenge him, she would have to wait until the end of the 3rd round. At least she would have to wait until the God-Wind Academy did not have any opponents. With Meng Jingxiu's skills, Ning Qing believed that she would not be able to persist until then. The top true condensation experts sent by the 5-star academies were absolutely not an opponent like Zhu Junjie. Originally the God Wind Academy was regarded as trash by the people, but because of Meng Jingxiu's first match, it was able to save some face. At least there were no other 5-star academies that were ridiculing Lu Xian. Good, good, good. Lu Xian constantly praised Meng Jingxiu. For him, Meng Jingxiu's victory was not just a match. He was ridiculed by the people on the main altar. Now that Meng Jingxiu had won, he was simply too lazy to go up again. Just as the people were talking about Meng Jingxiu from the God Wind Academy, a figure once again landed on the platform. This was a handsome man dressed in white, and he looked extremely elegant. His long dark red hair was casually scattered over his shoulders, which made him look a bit more unruly. If one had to say that he had a flaw in his appearance, then it would be that his nose was slightly hooked. But perhaps in the eyes of some people, it was another kind of strong performance. Some of the young girls had already begun to scream. It could be seen that this white-robed man was really selling out. The white-robed man cupped his fists towards the people around him, and then spoke in a clear voice. Falling Star Academy's Shui Yu, with 10 points, challenges God Wind Academy's Ning Xiaoqing. Shui Yu's words made the already forgotten Ning Xiaoqing once again become a hot topic of discussion. Ning Xiaoqing was the one who had taken the first place in the written test, but in the real tournament, he had obtained 11 points in 2 rounds, which caused him to become a joke. At this time, Ning Xiaoqing's cultivation level was also exposed. Although his cultivation level was not bad, it was only at true condensation 3rd level. But for a true condensation 3rd level cultivator to fight against a true condensation 7th level cultivator, the result simply did not need to be guessed. This time Ning Xiaoqing really is courting death. I do not know how he offended Shui Yu of the Shui clan. True condensation 7th level against true condensation 3rd level, you simply do not need to think about the result. Humph, is Shui Yu of the Shui clan an ordinary true condensation 7th level cultivator? He is the genius of the younger generation of the Shui clan. Moreover, he is also representing the Falling Star Academy in this tournament. Even if it was an ordinary true condensation 9th level cultivator, they would not necessarily be his opponent. This Ning Xiaoqing really knows how to cause trouble. I heard that he had killed Shui Yu's younger brother not long ago. What? No wonder Shui Yu wants to challenge him. This is simply courting death. Humph, I am sure that Ning Xiaoqing will not fight. He will definitely give his points to an expert from the God Wind Academy. That's right, this kind of thing that is courting death, no one would do it. Meng Jingxiu coldly looked at Ning Qing. This was a sin that he brought upon himself. If she had known that he would have given his points to her, wouldn't everything be fine now? She was waiting for Ning Qing to come in front of her. Even if he had to give her Ning Qing's points, at that time she would also ridicule him. Ning Qing obviously would not beg Meng Jingxiu. He patted the slightly nervous Ji Luofei and said, "Don't worry, it's not like you haven't seen me fight before." There was also a sentence that Ning Qing did not tell Ji Luofei. Compared to the time when he was in the Thunder Fall Desert, he did not know how many times stronger he was. This was not only because his cultivation had advanced to true condensation 3rd level, but more importantly because his meridians had been completely transformed by the mysterious yellow origin. Junior apprentice brother Xiaoqing, if you do not mind, I can help you fight. A man with thick eyebrows came to Ning Qing's side and cupped his fists as he spoke. After Lu Xian's introduction, Ning Qing came to know who this person was. He was the strongest person in the true condensation realm in the God Wind Academy, Chu Yong Xian. Chu Yong Xian's meaning was to let Ning Qing give his points to him. In this case, Shui Yu would not be qualified to challenge Ning Qing. Ning Qing cupped his fists and thanked him. "Thank you, senior apprentice brother Chu. I will go by myself. It looks like that guy wants to eat people. I will take the initiative to let him eat." Saying that, Ning Qing smiled at Ji Luofei, as he carried his spear on his back and slowly walked towards the platform. Meng Jingxiu looked at Ning Qing's back in doubt. she really did not think that Ning Cheng would dare to fight on his own. Was it really true that the ignorant were fearless? Seeing Ning Cheng approaching the platform, she was somewhat speechless as she shook her head and said, "I actually care about such a stupid person. Hey, that Ning Xiaocheng is really going to fight. I know him. The one walking on the platform is Ning Xiaocheng. There really is a guy who takes the initiative to court death." Seeing Ning Cheng walking on the platform, a surprised voice sounded out. "I guess that he is still thinking about whether or not he would be able to amaze the world with a single brilliant feat like he did in the written test. Humph, that is just a dream. It is not necessarily a dream. Maybe when Ning Xiaocheng came on stage, that Falling Star Academy's Shui Yu suddenly fell asleep. Then Ning Xiaocheng would easily win. You are courting death, daring to tease Shui Yu. If the Shui clan people heard you, then you are dead for sure." There were all kinds of opinions, but none of them were optimistic that Ning Cheng would be able to defeat Shui Yu. Chapter 113. Unexpectedly you have the courage to come up and die. I really underestimated you. Shui Yu stared at Ning Cheng as he walked up the platform and spoke in a light voice. "Carrying such a broken spear, it must have been hard on you." Shui Yu's eyes swept over the broken spear on Ning Cheng's back, as his mouth revealed a trace of sarcasm. How could his eyes not see that Ning Cheng's spear was only a low-grade artifact? Although he challenged Ning Cheng on the platform, but he did not think that Ning Cheng would come up. His plan was, that Ning Cheng would definitely not dare to come up. As long as Ning Cheng did not come up on the platform, his goal would be achieved. A guy who was afraid to fight, even if his cultivation was low, would immediately be shamed, and no one would look up to Ning Cheng. The reason why the God Wind Academy had not said anything until now, was because they wanted to maintain the face of a 5-star academy. Otherwise, Ning Cheng only scored 11 points in the 2 rounds, the God Wind Academy would definitely not give Ning Cheng a good look. Once Ning Cheng was afraid to fight, then the God Wind Academy would no longer protect Ning Cheng. Even if Ning Cheng was killed, no one would say anything about the God Wind Academy. For a disciple who was afraid to fight, the academy did not take the initiative to punish him. It was already considered a kindness. Why would they care about who killed Ning Cheng? Shui Yu's idea was that Ning Cheng was afraid to fight, and then he would take Ning Cheng away and kill him afterwards. You actually have the courage to challenge your grandfather. I really underestimated you. Ning Cheng said as if he did not care about it. Shui Yu's mouth revealed a trace of imperceptible sarcasm. Ning Cheng, you can rush to the Hua continent from the Ping continent. It seems that you have some ability, but unfortunately your eyes are not big. If you had persuaded Luo Fei to come to my Shui clan to make amends, then perhaps you could have kept your dog life. Now, I not only want to kill you, but I also have no interest in that Ji Luo Fei. Do you know how I will deal with that Ji Luo Fei when I get back? You can't think of it, she will have a lot. Pa. Shui Yu simply did not put Ning Cheng in his eyes. When he spoke, he even forgot that his head was already within Ning Cheng's reach. He never thought that Ning Cheng would dare to slap him in the face, moreover he would even be able to slap him in the face. Pa, a sound emerged. Ning Cheng did not hold back at all. If he was not afraid that Shui Yu would be alerted, he would not have gathered his true essence. As such, half of Shui Yu's face would have been turned into nothingness by Ning Cheng's slap. Even if that was the case, half of Shui Yu's face had already been slapped off by Ning Cheng, as more than a dozen teeth and the skin on his face splashed out. I'm going to swallow you. Shui Yu's eyes immediately became ferocious. He raised his hand and waved a pair of black giant scissors. As soon as the giant scissors appeared, it was like an overwhelming dark cloud, completely enveloping the entire competition stage. Even the onlookers felt a chill run down their spines. It was as if the giant scissors were cutting at them. The berserk true essence and killing intent swept across the entire battle platform. It could be seen that Shui Yu's desire to kill Ning Cheng was very strong. Compared to Meng Jing Xiu's halberd shadows from a while ago, this pair of giant scissors was incomparably fast. It made people think that in the next moment, everything on the tournament stage would be completely cut into pieces by this pair of giant scissors. All the people knew that even if Ning Cheng's speed was fast, he would not be able to bring out the spear on his back in front of this berserk pair of giant scissors. Facing this terrifying pair of giant scissors, Ning Cheng really did not bring out his spear. It was not that Ning Cheng did not have enough time to bring it out, but rather Ning Cheng did not intend to bring out his spear. He just chopped out with his fist. Shui Yu was not worthy enough for him to bring out his spear. That's right, he really chopped out. Axe fist. This was something that Ning Cheng had comprehended from the axe trace's killing intent in the Dawn Forest, but unfortunately he did not have an axe, and could only use his axe fist. This was not the first time that Ning Cheng had used his axe fist. He had already used his axe fist several times, and every time he used it, he could feel that the might of his axe fist was rising. A bitter killing intent erupted out from Ning Cheng's body, and instantly filled the space between him and Shui Yu. Shui Yu did not feel Ning Cheng's fist, but he felt a huge axe falling down from the top of his head, directly chopping towards his pair of giant scissors. Such a terrifying killing intent. That's not right, this was an axe intent. But he obviously did not see Ning Cheng use his axe. If he did not use his axe, then how could he use his axe intent? But he could feel a very strong axe-type killing intent. The giant scissors' berserk silhouette paused for a moment, and then collided with Ning Cheng's axe fist's killing intent. Ka. It was as if a pair of scissors had cut into steel, as a burst of ear-piercing grinding sounds resounded. Boom! The berserk true essence in the axe fist's killing intent and the giant scissors exploded. Shui Yu, along with his pair of giant scissors, were blown back a few dozen meters away. Only then was he barely able to stand. Ning Cheng felt that his true essence was surging, but under the operation of his true essence, the surging true essence immediately subsided. Most of the people who were watching the fight outside the ring stood up in shock. Even some of the experts on the main altar and the judges were surprised and subconsciously stretched out their necks. No one could have thought that this would be the result. Previously, when Ning Cheng had slapped Shui Yu in the face, it had already made all of them unable to believe it, but now that they were facing each other head-on in a head-on battle, it made everyone subvert their original views. Unexpectedly they are evenly matched. Some people began to talk. Humph, evenly matched. You are dreaming. That Shui Yu was slapped by Ning Xiaoqing in the face, and has already fallen into a disadvantageous position. That move from Shui Yu a moment ago was filled with anger, but Ning Cheng hastily punched out. He did not even use the spear on his back. Do you still think that who has the upper hand? It is indeed Ning Xiaoqing who has won. I did not think that this Ning Xiaoqing, who is only at true condensation 3rd level, would unexpectedly be so powerful. He should not have deliberately lost in the first 2 rounds, and then in the 3rd round he would make people sit up and take notice of him, right? Don't talk nonsense. If it was given to you, would you deliberately lose? There were all kinds of discussions, but no one said that Ning Xiaoqing was courting death. But no one knew that there were really some people who were talking about Ning Cheng deliberately losing in the 1st and 2nd rounds. Lu Xian once again stood up excitedly. He did not think that Ning Cheng would be so powerful. That punch a moment ago unexpectedly had a strong axe-type killing intent, but unfortunately Ning Cheng did not have an axe. If Ning Cheng had an axe, then with that axe of his, even if Shui Yu did not die, he would be seriously injured. Even the dignified-looking man who was presiding over the 1st and 2nd rounds of the tournament, who was sitting on the main altar, also opened his eyes. With their cultivation level, when Ning Cheng's axe fist came out, they were able to see that it was a punch that contained the axe-type killing intent. If one did not have enough comprehension ability, then they absolutely would not be able to throw out such a punch. The dignified-looking man stared at Ning Cheng for a while. It was reasonable to say that this Ning Xiaoqing was able to comprehend the axe-type killing intent, so in the 2nd round of the tournament, he should not have only scored a single point. What kind of spiritual root does this Ning Xiaoqing have? The dignified-looking man suddenly asked. At this time Lu Xian was not on the main altar, but there was a female cultivator from the God Wind Academy with the cultivation of essence building realm. When she heard the dignified-looking man's question, she quickly took back the surprise in her eyes, and stepped forward and respectfully said, Ning Xiaocheng's memory is extremely powerful, but his spiritual root is actually a hybrid spiritual root. Before in the Dawn Forest, he had come across a spiritual essence spring pond, and because of that opportunity, he was able to advance to the early stages of the true condensation realm. The dignified-looking man nodded. After listening to the words of this female cultivator, he finally understood why Ning Cheng only scored a single point in the comprehension ability test. In the second round of the tournament, those who were able to see multiple images were either pure spiritual roots or variant spiritual roots. Ordinary people with multiple spiritual roots could only see a single image. If they could only see a single image, then even if their comprehension ability was even stronger, they would not be able to comprehend the contents of the images. As for hearing that Ning Cheng had come across a spiritual essence spring in the Dawn Forest, he did not care about it. Since he had come across a spiritual essence spring, then after cultivating for a few years, it would not be strange for him to advance to the true condensation realm. If he knew that Ning Cheng had only come from the Dawn Forest a few months ago, then perhaps he would not have thought like this. Hey, I have once again made an error in judgment. Ling Naixin from the Thunder Academy stared at Ning Cheng in bewilderment. She suddenly felt that she had misjudged Ning Cheng twice. She could no longer see through Ning Cheng. Such a powerful person, how could he only score a single point in the second round of the tournament? Shui Yu is not this person's opponent. Quickly tell Shui Yu to admit defeat. In the Shui clan station, an old man after seeing Shui Yu suffer a loss, his complexion changed as he stood up and spoke. His voice had just fallen, when Shui Yu once again rushed towards Ning Cheng. At this time, Shui Yu's heart was filled with anger and grievance. He was the dignified genius of the Shui clan, but he unexpectedly lost to an outsider at the early stages of the true condensation realm. If this was spread out, then how would he, Shui Yu, have the face to see anyone? This time he almost completely stimulated his giant scissors. The huge silhouette immediately separated, forming two silhouettes, one on the left and one on the right, cutting towards Ning Cheng. The two silhouettes on the left and right had not yet reached Ning Cheng, when they once again divided into four silhouettes. In the end, the entire ring was almost filled with silhouettes. Just like an arrow at the end of its flight, Ning Cheng sneered. Shui Yu's fighting spirit had already been hit, and was already in chaos. These countless silhouettes blasted out. It was indeed a powerful magical skill, but unfortunately, Shui Yu's fighting spirit was in chaos. Moreover, his true essence was also not enough. These silhouettes that were blasted out were just an empty shell. If Shui Yu could adjust his mentality, then he could continue to fight with him for a while, but now, Ning Cheng did not even put him in his eyes. Ning Cheng still did not bring out his spear, not to mention bringing out his 7 Pleiades ice needle. He just blasted out a few punches in succession. This was the axe fist that he temporarily simulated according to the countless silhouettes of Shui Yu. The axe fist's shadow, under the stimulation of Ning Cheng's true essence, was blasted out by Ning Cheng. From the moment it appeared, in just a breath, it was already comparable to the silhouettes. Pa 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 pa. The axe fist's shadow and the silhouettes collided together. The true essence exploded out with a series of sounds. These sounds seemed to have an astonishing momentum, but the people who understood it understood that the might of this confrontation was simply not as good as the previous giant scissors and Ning Cheng's fist. Gotcha. After the countless silhouettes dissipated, Shui Yu finally woke up. He knew that he was not Ning Cheng's opponent. If he continued to fight, then he would die without a doubt. I admit, Shui Yu had not finished his words. Ning Cheng had already leapt up, and punched out with all his strength. How could he let Shui Yu say the word, admit defeat? You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.